In a sport where speed is the supreme goal, one man from the Isle of Man has proven he has no equals at the Tour de France.
Cavendish goes, the rocket has been launched, and no one can match Mark Cavendish.
Mark Cavendish of America's Team Columbia won his second consecutive stage Friday and fourth in 13 races. Even when he appeared boxed in during the final sprint, he emerged, attacked, and conquered, evoking memories of the rider that finished just behind him.
Mark Cavendish being challenged by Robbie McEwen, but this is the new Robbie McEwen.
Can the peloton suppress his speed, or can the world's fastest rider prove it for a fifth time? In stage 14, we head east to Digne-les-Bains, next on Versus. One of the best-known novels in history, Victor Hugo's Les Miserables, begins in Digne-les-Bains, and today for our peloton, it will represent both the end of a long day and the beginning of the rider's quest into the Alps. Hello, everybody. Along with Bob Roll, I'm Craig Hummer, and we welcome you to our Saab pre-race show. And certainly, Bob, Mark Cavendish is the story of this year's Tour de France. Whether he makes it to Paris or not, it doesn't matter. He won yesterday his fourth out of 13 stages.
Mark Cavendish absolutely on fire. He's burning down the house of the sprinters in the Tour de France this year. Yesterday, no exception on the road to Nîmes. And clean wheels to all the fast men. Didn't have that great of a lead out, was boxed in and still found a way to win. Unbelievable riding.
Let's take you to the start of yesterday's stage. As we've seen time and time again in this year's Tour, the breakaways started early.
Here's Brard going away. On his wheel, Nicky Terpstra, just after they dropped the flag. So these riders would have a long, hot day in the sun and a big breakaway. They never got a whole lot of time, so there was not much question that they would eventually be caught.
Driven by teams like Columbia, Française des Jeux, and Milram, finally the catch would take place. But what a crash we saw on the road.
This is Svein Kraus, and when you see his bike go up in the air like that, all you can think of is somebody is seriously injured. But the way he jumped up right off there just shows you the resiliency of these bike racers.
The bike would be smashed into pieces, actually broken in half, Bob. Talk about force.
And they're going to have to do some road construction to fix the sign there. Just exiting that roundabout. Very dangerous.
Our Saab Turbo Sprint once again from the Isle of Man, Mark Cavendish.
Cavendish, this is the acceleration to the line, and he has 3 or 4 bike lengths there. It's a race for second place.
You mentioned it already, but it looked as though he'd made a mistake, and he was boxed in.
You can see here, this is the sprint starting to unfold. There's Mark Renshaw at the very top of your screen. Little Robbie McEwen, number 4, but Cavendish there, number 1, starts to sprint towards the left. McEwen has the jump on him. And this is only about 100 meters from the line. And McEwen made the perfect launch for his sprint. And this should have been a victory for McEwen. McEwen there up against the fence. Oscar Freire can't go either way to come around him. But Cavendish, with that late burst of speed, and look at this acceleration to the line. He just keeps extending his advantage over McEwen. About this point, McEwen knows he's not going to win the stage, and Mark Cavendish does.
Everyone left shaking their heads, especially Robbie McEwen. He thought for a moment he could best the best, but it wouldn't happen. Meanwhile, Cadel Evans stays in yellow.
A very reasonable day for the yellow jersey. Lotto not having to do a lot of work, so they conserve their energies very well on this stage. A great ride by Cadel Evans to stay in yellow.
Our Michelob Ultra GC standings. Evans, as you saw, still number 1. Frank Schleck, still very close.
And Christian Vande Velde there in 3rd, hanging tough. Bernard Cole, Denny Menchov, no change to our top 5.
Carlos Sastre still in 6th. Kim Kierken manages 7th yet again. The top 10 rounded out by Efimkin, Astroloza, and Nibali.
These are the others. Valverde, 12th. 441 down. That's a big disadvantage for him going into the Alps. Cunego, but George Hincapie, Danny Pate, and Will Frischkorn still hanging tough in the Tour.
Strategically, it was Johan Brunel and Lance Armstrong, Bob, who perfected how to approach the Tour. How would you rate Evans's control so far?
Well, he's been a great ride so far in the Tour. His team maybe has left him isolated at the end of the stages just a little bit, but they did improve tremendously on yesterday's stage, so they're starting to get the gist of it, I think.
Well, speaking of Johan Brunel, we want to remind you that starting tomorrow, the Master joins us on set. Bob, he can do it all. He's won races.
Now, this is a great example of a pro that was solid in his career and then went on to do even more greater things with this man, Lance Armstrong. Johan Brunel, a real star of the sport. It's going to be great to have him with us.
The mastermind behind not only Lance, but also Alberto Contador. Johan Brunel joins us on Versus throughout the remainder of the tour. The thermal spas of this area have provided relief for hundreds over the years. Relief awaits our riders a few hours from now. And when we come back, Phil and Paul and predictions.
The 2008 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab and the legendary 9.3 Turbo. Saab, born from jets.
For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. Turning repetition into joy. The efficient performance of the Saab Turbo.
When they crash in those sprint finishes, that's 40, 45 miles an hour. If they're on a descent, it can be 55, 60 miles an hour. Next time you're in your car at 50 miles an hour, strip down to your underwear and jump out the door. And that's what it's like to crash in a professional bike race.
This is what the fashionistas in France are wearing at the moment. Yellow for Cadel Evans, Oscar Freire in green, and Nibali wears white, and Sebastian Lang stays in polka dots. Welcoming in Phil and Paul yet again. And guys, I'm a little surprised to see here this morning. We were up late, Paul, with that dinner last night.
Yes, rather an interesting dinner. In fact, it was about as long as the Tour de France. It started off with the sprinters, moved into the flat stages, then the individual time trial, and after that, the pièce de résistance down at the end, which I thought looked a little bit like an African hut.
Yes, it did, actually. We couldn't quite work out whether to go and put it on our bedside or eat it.
And that's what we have at the Tour de France, a lot of free time, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 12:45 getting into bed, that was a lot of fun.
It did make a change from the freeway sandwich and a bottle of Budweiser.
It was a nice change,
Yeah.
the haute cuisine of France. Well, Phil, you have been a member of British cycling in the community for a number of years. How long has it been, though, since we've seen the excitement that Mark Cavendish is generating?
Well, he's such an exciting rider. I mean, he's won 4 stages. He takes it almost in his stride. He's come here to do his job. He does his job, you know. I don't know how long he'll stay in the race, but he'll decide to go home before Paris. I'm sure of that. He'll cook bigger eggs, bigger fish to fry when he gets up to Beijing, I think. But he's a fabulous sprinter. He's clearly the fastest man around because he's up against likes of Robbie McEwen, Thor Hushovd, Oscar Freire. And he didn't just beat him by a centimetre. He beat him by 3 to 4 lengths and coming from the back as well.
That is one of the reasons why he is the talk of the town. But, Paul, again, today, supposedly a sprinter's stage. There is some elevation. How does the race look?
Well, I'm not sure it's really going to be a sprinter's day because it really is quite a lumpy stage today. We move away from the Mediterranean and we head down to really towards what here is the foothills of the Alps. And that's what's going to make it, I think, a little bit difficult. The kind of day when finally we could see the breakaway succeed. The riders move away from Nîmes and they start to climb up throughout most of the day. It's a long drag uphill to Digne-les-Bains, which, by the way, is reputedly the sunniest town in France. And if you look at that profile, that's an indication it's going to be a heavy day in the saddle for everybody.
Yes, it shouldn't be a sprint finish. 121 miles on a very, very hot day here as we come to Digne-les-Bains. It's the difference between Sarasota in Florida and Naples. That's 117 miles. 12th time we've been here. Last finish in 2005. David Moncoutier. And, you know, Moncoutier could win today. He either sits at the back of the field or he crosses the line in first place. He never bothers with the in-between.
There's a Cat 4 at the end of the day, Bob. What's the percentage that we're going to see someone use that as a chance to attack?
Well, hopefully the percentage is 100% and we don't see another bunch gallop. But I do believe that the peloton is fed up with Mark Cavendish dominating all of the stages, and everybody is going to attack.
Yeah, we're not.
You're all jealous.
You're not.
Funny, gentlemen, that you should bring up domination. It's that time of the show again. Saab performance predictions time. But I got to give credit to my man Paul Sherwen. A huge win yesterday, Paul.
Huge.
Massive win, leaping up the overall classification, but still quite a long way behind Mr. Craig Hummer.
That's all right. I like that lead at the moment, but as you have said time and time again, it's not over until the Champs-Élysées, and with wins like yesterday, nipping at my heels. Now,
keep this lead. It could be over by Alpe
on
d'Huez.
the opposite side of the coin, which we'll get to in a moment, because we do have to present the jersey one more time. Not hopefully for the last time, but there we go. Yellow again today. Here. Sorry. No. All right.
Don't
well,
touch what you can't
as I
have.
started to say, the flip side of the coin is our esteemed colleague, Mr. Liggett, who has first pick today.
First
and
pick.
It's once, twice, 3 times lucky, I think, for you.
Absolutely right, Jess. I think the key to winning this competition is consistent, and I've been consistently bad with 1 point. But now I'm also saying consistent with the same rider, Oscar Freire, for the 3rd day running. The last 2 days, this man has been 5th. He must be fed up of finishing 5th. He must want to win, for goodness sake. Oscar's heading up the pole in the green jersey, and I hope he heads up my classification chart and gets me 5 points total by the end of the day.
Any chance, if he finishes 5th today, any chance we can give Phil a bonus point?
I will agree to that.
One.
One bonus
So I'll have
point.
2 points.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, that's double what you have now. Why are you complaining?
That's a good point. Good point.
You know,
Okay.
I'm looking after your interests.
Thank you very much. Well, you guessed the 11th for me last
Bob
time.
Roll, an interesting dilemma with you today. Now, is this calculation, or are you throwing caution to the wind?
No, I think it's a little bit more calculated. I think that the peloton really is fed up with Cavendish's winning streak. They're going to really attack hard, and I'm going with one of the toughest Frenchmen in the bike race, Pierre Fedrigo. They have had a very little to crow about throughout the Tour de France all year, so I think he's going to go out there in the breaks and get me some more points. He's a really strong rider, and I think he's been saving himself till when I picked him for the stage win. And if he doesn't get me some points, I'm going to have to admonish him afterwards.
Good for you.
I went with a little bit of the idea that you both are using. The peloton's fed up. You need someone that's tough. So I went with the German, Eric Zabel. I think he's realized he is not faster than Cavendish, which is obvious. So he's going to try a different way to win. He's going to try to get up with the leaders as soon as he can and use that last climb to vault himself to the victory.
Could be a good choice, that, Paul, couldn't it?
Excellent choice, a brilliant choice, I'd have to say. But today I had a very hard time coming up with my pick because I wanted Oscar Freire, I wanted Eric Zabel.
Yes.
I didn't want Pierre Fedrigo at all.
Nobody
actually.
would.
He was never anywhere near my list. So I've decided today I'm going to go for David Moncoutier, Robbie Hunter, and Pipo Pozzato.
Lucky you.
Not allowed.
Well, I thought it was a try. I was trying it, but the producer wouldn't allow me to go through. So I'm going to go for Pipo Pozzato because he's the kind of guy who, on a stage like today, he can win from the breakaway, he can win from the main field when they get over the last climb, because Bob's right. That last little climb at the end is where Pipo Pozzato is going to jump away, catch Pierre Fedrigo, and beat him on the line.
It may seem like an obvious question, especially since we've talked about this being a sprinting stage, but I'll throw it to you, Phil, since you are learned and full of wisdom. Why didn't any of us pick Cavendish?
I don't think he's going to get over those last few climbs. He is getting tired, and I'm convinced that either today or tomorrow he'll probably go home. He wants now to concentrate on the Olympic Games. He's won 4 stages. He mustn't be greedy.
No.
And although he's second in the green jersey competition, it's not been his target.
Mind you, Craig Hummer's been a little bit greedy in our competition,
Oh,
hasn't he?
come
No, he's been
now.
very
Come
greedy.
now. That's not
Very,
the right
very
way to
greedy.
look at it. How about successful? How about
Lucky.
Exactly. Good. I'll take luck any day of the week. Well, Cavendish has been anything but
Well, I'll tell
lucky.
you what,
He has earned.
If he comes to finish with Fedrigo and Moncoutier, Cavendish will win.
Solid bet. Solid bet. Are we going to give you a point for that,
I
too?
hope so.
Well, who knows the way it will all turn out at the end of the day. That is why they ride the stage. This area has been a commercial stop since the Roman era. It's the primary center of lavender trade, and someone will smell of success at the end of the day.
The 2008 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab and the legendary 9.3 Turbo. Saab, born from jets.
Kenda Tires is giving cycling fans the chance of a lifetime with the Kenda Fantasy Cycling Challenge. Pick your riders, watch the tour, and you could win a trip to the 2009 Tour de France. Kenda, the #1 bicycle tire in North America, also offers high-quality passenger tires and light truck tires that are both reliable and affordable, which is why so many people trust Kenda Tires, no matter what they're driving. For more information about Kenda Tires and to find a dealer near you, visit KendaTiresUSA.com. Kenda Tires, performance-minded, value-conscious.
Hi, welcome to Progressive.com.
Honey, what's all this?
Insurance.
Progressive motorcycle insurance.
Yeah.
RV insurance?
Uh-huh.
Boat insurance. But we don't have any of those things.
Well, actually, I do. We do. We do.
Surprise! Let's bag these up.
Saving you money so you can buy more toys. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
What your engine feels, you feel. And when it's running clean, you feel it. That's why Pennzoil Motor Oil is specially formulated to clean out up to 15% of sludge in the first oil change. And a cleaner engine just feels better.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us.
At the 5th Annual Aspen Snowmass Ride for the Cure, Komen Aspen invites you to choose your challenge of either a 100, 60, 30, or 10-mile ride through the beautiful Rocky Mountains. Registration for the Aspen Snowmass Ride for the Cure on September 6th includes meals, a jersey, and a finish line party with fun activities for the whole family. For more information, fundraising, and training tips, call the Ride Hotline or visit the website.
Parenting is tough.
You know how we're not supposed to pick favorites? Right now, you're in third.
When you're still one of the kids.
Think fast!
Awesome, Dad.
Thursdays.
Discover what's so funny about my family. How come I haven't seen your niece?
They're your daughters.
Oh, no! Put your dish in the dishwasher and everybody's responsible for your own crumbs. Said the father to himself.
The Bill Engvall Show is back with all new episodes. Thursday nights at 9. Only on TBS.
Very funny.
Yesterday, Stage 13 saw yet another contentious sprint finish. But more importantly, an unprecedented 4th stage win for Team Columbia's newest superstar, Mark Cavendish. Once again, he displayed his unparalleled explosion of speed. He's rightly earned the title of fastest man in the peloton. Today, the roads begin to rise once more. And although it's branded as a flat stage, the 2 Category 4 climbs may prove challenging for some of the sprinters. The opportunists will be looking for their chance at hitting the line victorious. But with the Alps looming, the overall leaders had better be preparing for the rigid roads ahead, as the punishing fight for yellow will certainly take off tomorrow. Join us now for Stage 14 as the 2008 Tour de France heads back towards the hills. It's all up next on Versus. 2 weeks since the Tour de France started in Brest, and the hills today will gradually become big mountains tomorrow. But today, the sprinters may have a say, you never know. It's a long way beneath a hot sun. 121 miles it is, the way the race comes from Nîmes down to where we're sat right now in Digne-les-Bains. I have to tell you, this is a most beautiful place. Welcome back to our live coverage on Versus Stage 14 of the Tour de France today. Phil Liggett with Paul Sherwen. We've been here before and we've seen some great victories here, and we've very rarely, if ever, seen a bunch sprint.
Very rarely. It's a real tough way to get here, any which way you want to. Any combination of roads to get to Digne-les-Bains means it's a kind of route, really, Phil, that does provoke a breakaway.
Well, one man who rides this race always sits at the back unless he's out to win, Paul. Take us through this.
Well, it was the 14th of July, and a certain man from France wanted to get himself a victory, and it was David Moncoutier. This year in the Tour de France, he wears number 188. But on this occasion, with 36 kilometres to go to the finish, he took off away from a breakaway group, as we just said, and he got himself the victory.
Well, on the podium, though, today, as it has been for the last few days, Cadel Evans, he pulled on this leader's jersey at Haut-de-Cam. He's gone through what we're calling the transitional stages, but Paul, now, he may try and rest today because tomorrow he fights.
I think he needs to rest today, Phil, because tomorrow there will be a challenge to his overall supremacy. Maybe from Frank Schleck, who's only 1 second behind. Possibly from Christian van der Velde in third at 38 seconds. But maybe the dark horse, the dangerous man, the quiet man from Russia in fifth, Denny Menchov. And of course, if Carlos Sastre, Phil, wants to try and win this race or even get to the podium, he has to make a move.
Well, we may not see too many of those names in the action today. This is the rollout this morning. There is Cadel Evans with that 1 second lead. Oscar Freire in the green jersey. As we head out now, heading towards Digne-les-Bains. And by the time we got to the first sprint at Saint-Marie, 21 riders were clear. And in the sprint, there, as you can see, Will Fishcorn of Garmin Chipotle going across in second place. Stein de Volder was the first man, and Bernard Eisel was the third man. But that breakaway of 21 got snapped up, but 4 of them decided to keep on going, and they are still in the lead. And there's the names for you.
Well, you've got in that breakaway Jose Van Gutierrez, William Bonnet, Bram Tankink and Sandy Cassar in the white jersey. He's the Frenchman who last year, Phil, was a winner of a stage of the Tour de France. Well, today is a very hot day indeed. 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius, sunny and with a slight wind, a slight breeze, I would have to say, yes. Really, west-southwesterly at around about 5 miles an hour.
It's a beautiful, beautiful day, except if you've got to put the pressure on in the Tour de France. And you can see by the length of this line that they are taking that 4-man breakaway quite seriously here. There's a lot of riders that want to do something. Look at this, only 49.8 miles left to go.
Well, Phil, in the first hour of racing, we covered 52.5 kilometres, 33 miles an hour. The second hour of racing, 45 kilometres an hour, for an average speed of, so far in the first 2 hours of racing, of almost 48 kilometres an hour. That's an average speed of roughly 30 miles an hour. In the main field now, all of a sudden they've got a little bit of anger starting to come in. Team Liquigas in the lime green jerseys for Filippo Pozzato have come to the front. They want to try and mix it up, but also the light blue jerseys of Milram. And a lot of people think that Eric Zabel could be the man looking for the win today.
Well, thanks to the extraordinary sprint finishing of Mark Cavendish this year with his 4-stage wins, there's a lot of teams in this race, Paul, have got very little to show for 2 weeks in the Tour de France.
Certainly, and for riders like Oscar Freire, Eric Zabel and men like that, they would like to see whether they can get themselves a stage victory. A lot of people will think they can get rid of Mark Cavendish, Phil, on the nasty little 4th category climb down towards the end. But again, the holiday makers have turned out to see the Tour de France once again. It really is amazing every night when we move forward how many camping cars there are out on the route driving from place to place.
Well, there's only a couple of small climbs. We're approaching the Côte de Man, which is still a few kilometres away, about, let me just say, about 13 kilometres still to go to the top of the Côte de Man, and then we go downhill to a sprint in Oraison, and then we'll head up to the climb, the Col de l'Orme, which is a col, but it's only 4th category, and that's where they might manage to crack up and break for the finish. Now, as we came onto air today, sad news reaching us that Barlow World, they've only been in the sport a couple of years. They came in as a wildcard team last year, have taken the decision today to pull out of the sport because of Moises Duenas, the guy who tested positive after the time trial, and that is really extremely sad. This was an excellent team. It would be a huge blow to South African cycling, as well as to riders like Robbie Hunter and new pro there, John Lee Augustin.
Yeah, very sad news for the cyclists, Phil, but it goes against company policy, and they felt that they had to make that decision vis-a-vis all of their employees and, of course, vis-a-vis a lot of their suppliers and people that they work with. So, tough decision to make, but when it's a corporate policy, there's not very much you can do.
No, so I happen to know the CEO of that company, Chris Fisher. He was a great supporter of this sport, and he often had to fight boardroom discussions not to sponsor cycling. He wouldn't have much of a leg to stand on after what has happened during this Tour de France. So that's a big team leaving the sport. But for the riders here, they're enjoying a sunny ride today, and they're under pressure. 2 teams at the front there. They want those 4 riders back. Have a feeling this is going to be a tough day on the eve of entry into the Alps. And Paris is on the other side of the Alps. See you in a moment.
For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. Turning repetition into joy, the efficient performance of the Saab Turbo.
Your life has more than one dimension. So should your beer. Michelob Ultra, with just 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories. It's not just a great tasting choice, it's a smart one. Live life to the ultra.
They say I should be afraid, because every swimmer in the water is out to get me. Fear is good.
Powerbar. More fuel for more push.
I'm the guy that everybody wants to beat.
For the first time on American television, they fight for honor, for country, for survival. 16 warriors, one goal, to become the greatest fighter of all time. From the creator of Survivor, The Contender Muay Thai premieres Thursday, July 31st on Versus.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
The world calls us small business owners.
But really, there's nothing small about us.
We have big ideas. We see huge potential. We have enormous dedication.
We have larger-than-life expectations, which is why
we and millions of others use Visa Business.
Because we do business with a great big world, and no other card.
No other card.
And no other card
is more accepted by it.
Visa Business, used for big ideas. Visit visa.com/smallbusiness.
The 2008 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Live life to the ultra.
Welcome back to Tour de France. We need blue skies again today, and it's going very nipply to say the least. They're averaging just on 30 miles an hour inside the last 80 kilometers now as we head towards the Haute-Provence department of France. A very beautiful area. Just look at that peloton today, Paul.
These are very tough racing roads, actually, and although they look pretty flat. They're climbing up most of the time throughout the day to around about 700 meters in altitude, and that's where Digne-les-Bains is situated. And of course, the road surface here has its word to play as well in a day like this, because the road surface in this part of the world is actually not very smooth at all. It might look so here, but it's actually a very gravelly surface, which actually reduces the rolling resistance on the road. So a lot of the time, the riders on a day like this, Phil, feel as if they've got glue stuck to the outside of their tyres.
I can understand how they might feel. That's Luis Leon Sanchez there, who won the stage into Aurillac. Well, at the start this morning, one sprinter not managing yet to get the best of Mark Cavendish is Robbie McEwen. Here he is talking now with Robbie Ventura.
Robbie, we both got treated. I think all the fans got treated to a special sprint between you and Cavendish, something we've been waiting for. The first week of the tour has been a little bit of a struggle. What was different yesterday? Where did you summon that energy, and why the second place yesterday?
Well, yesterday I've been frustrated from the day before, and I got boxed in and didn't even get to sprint at all. And yesterday I absolutely wanted to just get everything out, and I actually was too far back, and I came from a long way. We were still about 350 out, and I thought I've just got to go now, or I'm not going to get a run at all. So, you know, I started sprinting at just over 300 metres to go, and the thing was, by the time I got to the front, then Cav started his sprint and went back past me, and I just had nothing left in the last 100. But it was better than not being able to do any sprint at all.
If it does come down to a field sprint again today, with the speed and the power of that Columbia train, how are you going to get yourself in position to be on even ground with Cavendish when you guys start the sprint?
Well, that's the very difficult thing when you haven't got a team working for you in the sprint, and you haven't got a specific helper in the sprint. You do have to try and position yourself, and it's a case of using more energy and not having as much left to sprint with, or getting lucky that you can get that position and hold it without too much of a fight. But expecting that to happen in the tour is like expecting it to snow today.
Well, thank you very much. Let's see if Robbie can get it right this time. First of all, there is a slight problem, Robbie. There's 4 riders in the lead. I think the teams will chase, because Sandy Cassar in this breakaway for Française de Jeu is only 13 minutes off the race lead, and he's got just over 3 at the moment.
Yeah, but I don't think he has to worry too much about it snowing this afternoon, Phil. He'd have to go quite high in the mountains to see snow, especially when we're looking at temperatures soaring up the thermometer this afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius at the moment. The workload of the leaders is pretty even as far as I can see. Ivan Gutierrez is doing a little bit more than anybody else, but William Bonnet, Bram Tankink and Sandy Cassar sharing it out quite evenly.
Out the 4 guys then, looking quite good just for now. Well, as they approach now the 4th category climb of the day at the Col de Man, or the Côte de Man rather, as we go on to one little col that will come before the end. That could be a springboard. There's our upside down man from Switzerland, the world champion, Fabian Cancellara. One cancels out the other, I guess, if you're superstitious. Did a lot of work on Autocam for his team there.
Well, you can see 3 riders there from Team CSC sitting at the back end of the main field on a day like this, Phil. I just believe they're nurturing some hopes of an attack.
Rabobank also were in the early move today as well. They've got a man up there at the moment, Bram Tankink, as they continue up there. And Fabian Weckman in the white strip there. He's already crashed today, but he's up and riding again. Let's remind you then to come and play our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. Don't forget, all you have to do is log on to versus.com/fly to the finish. The code word you'll need today is Cervelo, and you can win a Cervelo SLC SL bicycle or a Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. That's your code word today, Cervelo. The peloton are coursing through this beautiful area here of the lower hills of the Haute-Provence as we head to Digne-les-Bains. It's a glorious day on the Tour de France. We'll take a break. When we come back, that little group might be a bit closer to the peloton.
Oh, that's the torque. I like torque. Andy, it's great gas mileage. Woo! Okay. How fast can this... Hey, Phil.
When is this event going to be over?
Soon. Thanks, Phil.
Oh boy, this event is going to be trouble.
The Autobahn for All Summer event. Get 3 VWs for under $199 a month or 0% APR on all 08 models.
At Mike's Hard Lemonade, we have lots of good ideas, like coming up with the perfect combination of lemonade and alcohol. Or Mike's Hard Light Lemonade. Or, check this out, Mike's Hard Double Caffeinated Soy Lemonade.
Joey, what you got there?
The little idea I came up with.
We don't do soy, okay?
We don't do soy.
In a world gone soft, someone's got to be hard. Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Well, it might surprise a lot of people that ExxonMobil would be interested in lithium-ion battery technology applied to hybrid electric vehicles. Our new battery separator film is a true breakthrough that's going to enable the deployment of more hybrid vehicles faster. This means a tremendous reduction in greenhouse gases, the equivalent of removing millions of cars from the road. I think this is the most important project that I've worked on in my career.
I'm the guy that everybody wants to be.
Buying a car is a big decision.
You need some advice.
That is why VHIX.com is so great.
Check out the Power Circle ratings for any kind of vehicle.
JDPower.com, Power Circle ratings.
Anything that you want to know about a vehicle.
Mechanical quality, the performance,
design quality,
powertrain quality.
You're going to get the right car.
All this great information right on VHIX.com.
Use JDPower.com Power Circle ratings to rank vehicles you're interested in at VHIX.com, your online resource to find your ride. Search our online inventory. Thousands of vehicles are added weekly.
A great summer break never lasts as long as you'd like. That's why at Furniture Row, we're now offering a summer break that lasts up to 4 years. During our Super Summer Break Savings event, we're featuring our once-a-year offer of 4 years no interest with no payments for the first year. That's no interest for 4 years, our guaranteed lowest prices, and no payments for the first year. These are the last days to take advantage of Furniture Row's Super Summer Break Savings. Our 4-year no interest offer ends Tuesday, July 29th.
Literally means servant. Christian Vandeveld was a domestique. He served Lance Armstrong for 5 years. Now, he's serving notice.
Welcome back. There are some great days ahead now on the Tour de France here on Versus, and don't miss this one. Tomorrow morning, Stage 15 will be live at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Big parties, I can sense it coming in California. We'll stay in Embra. We'll start in Embra and finish in Italy at Prato Novoso. So join us tomorrow. You won't want to miss it, but if you do miss it, don't forget you can catch everything in our enhanced primetime edition every night, including tonight at 8 Eastern. We go mountaineering tomorrow, and then we might get some idea as to who the final strongmen are for that last push up to Paris in the week of the Alps. It's going to be a super few days. All of the yellow numbers reflecting the sun today. This is Team CSC, Saxo Bank. They grabbed the team lead about 4 days ago. They're hanging on. Hanging on is not quite the right word. They've got a nice little lead in the team race just now after their wonderful escapade up Otakam. The predicted catch at 32 kilometers to go. Well, I have to remind you that yesterday the computer was completely out. That really doesn't work because it's impossible to judge the up and down of the speed of the peloton, but it's a nice little guide for somebody, I suppose.
It's an excellent guide, a guide that we try to use. It just shows you basically, Phil, whether or not the race is moving forwards or backwards, the gap's getting smaller or larger, and generally I tend to agree with the computer today that that breakaway is going to get caught.
Well, we'll see. This is the Prairie of Notre Dame as we race by these beautiful areas down in an area which still reflects Roman times here in France as we start to go into the mountains. A long drive for the television commentators tonight because we have 4 hours to drive on very small roads right up into the mountains to pick up the race tomorrow. Three minutes, 5 seconds, the gap, 67.2 kilometers to go. We're in Man, which means the first climb of the day is ahead. It's the 4th category Côte de Man. It has been a good day of racing. They have covered a lot of distance in a very short time today. 4 leaders, Hosan Ivan Gutierrez, William Bonnet, Bram Tankink, Sandy Kazar. Back in the main field is still Mark Cavendish. He's still in the race, and Paulie's looking for the 5th win, and it doesn't look as though that field is allowing these 4 riders their head.
On a day like today, I really expected the breakaway to succeed, especially when you bear in mind we're facing up to 3 very difficult mountain stages ahead with a rest day in the middle. And it looks as if now the main field, Phil, really have decided they want to try and come down into the town here of Digne-les-Bains as a solid group. And I would think one young man, that man from the Isle of Man, Mark Cavendish, is actually starting to lick his lips and thinking, maybe I can make it with number 5.
Well, who knows? He's moved up to second place in the best, most consistent rider competition for that green jersey. I've got a feeling he won't be there to collect it in Paris, but he is in second place at the moment. It is a glorious day here as we race towards the Haute-Provence and in the shadow of the Alps for a huge day tomorrow as we race up into Italy. But for today, Mark Cavendish and his team will want these riders back. The best placed rider is in the white there, Sandy Cassar. He's 13 minutes off Cadel Evans's yellow jersey, but although they've been out to 6 minutes, it's now back to 3.
Well, if you remember last year, Sandy Cassar tried very hard to get himself a stage victory. He was beaten to the line early on in the Tour by Cédric Vasseur. Then on stage 18, right down towards the end of the Tour de France, he was in an early breakaway like this, and a dog ran out into the race. He went straight over the top of the dog. The dog, I hasten to add, was fine.
I'm glad you did, because we were buried with emails as to how the dog was and not Sandy Cassar.
Sandy Cassar was pretty ripped up, but he still managed to stay in the breakaway group, and he got himself the victory down towards the end in front of a young man, a retiring man, I should say, by the name of Axel Merckx on that occasion. So he knows how to find a winning breakaway, and he's the only rider, I think, Phil, in this leading group of 4 who's actually won a stage so far in the Tour de France.
He is indeed. That was down in Angoulême last year. Yes, but between them, these guys have ridden 17 tours between these 4 riders. Gutierrez in the black is on his 5th tour. William Bonnet in the greens. It's Gutierrez who goes over the top. So the master of the tours goes over first, ahead of Tanking and Cassar. And the others have ridden, Cassar himself in white has ridden 7 tours.
Well, they will know all about the experience of the Tour on a day like this, because it is a roasting day in the southern part of France. The final of the transitional stages, really, from the Pyrenees across to the foothills of the Alps, and a different team now coming to the front to help set the pace-making. I really am quite surprised here, Phil, but as you said, there's a lot of teams in the Tour de France so far have not had a chance to get themselves any individual glory. And that's because one man, Mark Cavendish from the Isle of Man, has been taking it all for himself.
Well, just looking at the excitement on the face of these youngsters here, but it just is a sad day for world cycling, because Barlow World, who are in the race, and they lost one of their riders to a positive dope check, Moses Duenas-Navarro. And because of that, the company has announced they will stop sponsorship of the sport of cycling immediately the Tour de France ends. At least they've allowed the 4 survivors, John Lee Augustin, Jean-Paul O'Shuler, Chris Froome from Kenya, now racing on a British licence, and Robbie Hunter, the chance to finish in Paris. But they're out of the sport, and for South African cycling, that really is a huge blow.
It certainly is. We're just looking here at the Citadel of Maine, just at the top, perched on the top of this rock above the valley here, and that dates back to the 12th century. And a lot of it was basically made out of an ochre stone, which you can find in this part of the world.
Well, the race today starts steadily uphill all the way from Nîmes. It was very hot in Nîmes, but it's approaching in Fahrenheit now. We've just topped 90 degrees today, just over 32 degrees Celsius. So it's a good hot day for the riders, and the riders haven't worried about the sun. They really are going very quickly.
It's as if they're not even worried about what's coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow is a monster stage, I have to say. The climb that the riders will go over to take themselves into Italy is the Col dell'Angelo, which climbs up to 2,780 meters in altitude. That's going to be a beast of a climb. They climb up for around about 25 kilometers. And then to finish off the day, they've got a nasty mountaintop finish as well. Not quite as high as climbs like the Alpe d'Huez, but I think after the day they'll spend in the saddle, the summit of Prato Nervoso won't come too soon for a lot of guys.
Yes, I think they'll be welcoming their rest day, which is being spent in Italy on Monday before we race back into France on Tuesday. Wednesday, of course, we have terrific live coverage as we race all the way to the top of Alpe d'Huez. It's going to be a wonderful occasion and a very hard final week of the Tour de France. Cadel Evans knows he is going to be hit from every direction once these mountains start. His 1 second will not be worth a jot. He'll need a lot of time, I think. There's the bunch then as they go over the top of the Côte de Man. 66 kilometres. Once for the peloton this is now, as they come over the top. The leaders are nearly 2 kilometres ahead of that. Inside 40 miles, these are the leaders. There's the man that hit a dog and had a spectacular crash right on our television cameras in the race last year on the road to Angoulême, another hot area of France as well. Well, the race goes on nonetheless, and the chase goes on as well. We'll see in a moment.
So you from around here?
Phil, it's me, Karen. We're here for the same conference.
So you're not from around here. So, you from around here?
Phil, I'm your boss.
Let your hair down. Well, have some fun. I didn't mean anything by that.
Check out the new hot bar in town, the Holiday Inn Express Hot Breakfast Bar.
We won.
Good job.
Just for Men takes 5 easy minutes. Targets only the gray hair and can get you to a better place.
How's the new job? Great.
Just for Men, stay in the game.
Horsepower is here, and no leading synthetic oil delivers more power than Q horsepower, which is why it's recommended by Ferrari for every oil change. Q horsepower. Unleash all your horses.
For the first time on American television, centuries in the making, they fight for honor, for country, for survival. 16 warriors, one goal, to become the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. From the creator of Survivor, The Contender Muay Thai premieres Thursday, July 31st on Versus.
Hi, welcome to Progressive.com. How can I help you?
Well, I haven't shopped for car insurance in a while.
And you're worried that you've been paying too much, right?
Yeah. So how can I know I'm getting a good deal?
We can compare your Progressive Direct rate with other top companies.
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah. Look at the deal we just got him.
That's a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, or a big tricked out name tag.
Making sure you get a great deal. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Welcome back. We're popping into the car here of Team Columbia. Rolf Aldag on the left and Brian Holm, the driver, the management of the team. And coming back there, one of the team helpers. I can't quite see who it is. But they're talking Danish, I think. That might be the case with Brian Holm. But the idea here is to pass out the bottles, and then he has to carry them all the way back up to the car. I think it's possibly Thomas Lockfist who is taking the bottles there. Well, a lot of you want to know what exactly are domestiques and what's their part in the Tour de France. So we'll give you the answers now as we look at Edward Jones's Making Sense of the Tour.
The domestique's role is to make sure either your sprinter or your climber gets to his position.
The final lead out by Gert Stegmans now for Tom Bonen.
And I think it's always easier to ride harder for someone else than it is for yourself almost. I mean, it's just, you're really sacrificing and it brings out something in you that, you know, maybe you couldn't normally do. I mean, if you've got someone like to win the race, you're going to give 110%.
The determination of Voigt has triumphed on the day.
And so you don't really even think about your chances unless they say, hey, this is your day.
This has been a superb ride by McCartney.
You know, we go through these survival camps at the start of the year. It's pretty hardcore stuff and you learn a lot about your teammates. You know, their weaknesses and strengths, and they learn a lot about your weaknesses and strengths. And when it comes to the crunch, everyone's just ready to lay it all down for another rider.
If you have confidence in your team leader and you trust him, then you can ride way harder than you ever could for yourself. And you can get more bottles. You can keep him as comfortable as possible. I think that's what a domestique really is. I think it's trusting in your teammate and knowing that you can give absolutely everything for him so he can finish the race well.
Yes, without a great team, it's almost impossible to win a Tour de France. That's Edward Jones is making sense of the Tour. And very often, many of these helpers get a great deal of satisfaction when their team leader comes home first because of their big effort they've made out on the course. There's the gap for you, 2:34, 37 miles to go. We're eating up the road today. And up at the back of the race here, this is Arnaud Coyot of Case de Pont, teammate of Alejandro Valverde, who I think has lost his chance to win the Tour. We'll know when we get into the Alps, Paul, but I don't think he'll come back from that deficit on Hautecam.
No, I think he lost too much time and probably a little blow to his morale because he came to the Tour Hill filled with a real thought that he could win the race this year. He's currently lying 12th place overall, 4:41 behind Cadel Evans. But the time gaps we've got so far can completely and utterly change in the last week of this race. If you haven't looked after yourself in the first 14 days of racing, you'll find yourself paying a magnificent bill in the last week. And probably, I'd have to say, in the next 4 days, we've got that one rest day in between the Alpine stages. But the mountains of the Alps this year, to me, look absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, they are. And looking at the weather here in Digne-les-Bains today, I think we'll be taking this sun with us down the road and into the Alps. Could be a beautiful day. We know already there are thousands of spectators already in the Alps, in their campers, with their tents, with their bicycles. Cars are parked. They go shopping by bike and buy their bread at the local shop because they can't take the car. Somebody will steal the parking space. It is going to be a wonderful occasion, a big grand fete in the Alps this year for sure. And I know there's an awful lot of Australians pinning a lot of hope on Cadel Evans.
A lot of people pinning a lot of hope on the Alps, I think, as well, including Team CSC.
Looking at 2:28, 4 riders. They got away in a group of 21. As the group got caught, these 4 sprinted away and they got the gap. And so at 40 kilometers, there were just these 4 riders into the race, facing a breakaway of 142 if they're to stay away to the line today. And I've just got the feeling this bunch is not allowing them to run away as we thought it might happen. 195 there is Ryder Hagedal, the only Canadian in the race. He rides, of course, for Garmin Chipotle. Has had a wonderful Tour de France. In fact, both the American teams have. They couldn't have dreamt of a better debut into the Tour de France. There's a lot of teams haven't had success, and that's why they're racing hard today.
We believe we make the world's best bikes.
I am Carrie Murphy, and this is Highway 18.
Slow play is not an option for golf's greatest adventure. Fasten your seatbelts for a new original series. Get ready.
Yes.
Set. Golf.
Every day is a non-stop race to the finish line, and only one of these teams will find out what's waiting at the end of the road.
What the heck?
Highway 18, all new, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Golf Channel.
Next time you're in your car, strip down to your underwear and jump out the door. And that's what it's like to crash in a professional bike race.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Do aches, pains, and arthritis have you in their grip? Break the grip with new Aspercream Heat Gel. Extra strength medicine delivers penetrating heat relief without embarrassing odor. Fast pain relief that keeps you going for hours. Aspercream, break the grip of pain.
Got a car to sell?
Go to vehix.com.
Millions of people go to vehix.com looking for a car. I would never do a newspaper classified again.
The best part is it's free.
Absolutely free. All you do is you upload a picture.
You put in a few facts about your car.
Then someone searches for a used car like yours.
Bingo, there's your car.
Pops up in their search results.
And it's free.
How can you beat that? This is the best way to sell a car.
List your used car for free and reach millions of car buyers at vehix.com, your online resource to find your ride. Watch our buying guides and test drives powered by Wheels TV on Comcast On Demand.
So you can defend that belt.
I'm the guy that everybody wants to beat.
Yes, the boys in light blue in their first Tour de France in those colours, riding high. They've had the lead in 3 of the 4 major competitions. And, of course, they've had all those stage wins with Mark Cavendish, who carries number 144. Ignore the time he's behind, doesn't matter. Kim Kirkin is the star here. He's had the yellow jersey for 4 days. He's now in 7th. Could come back, and I think will climb the classification. Good support, too, from Sutsuf and the other members of the team, not least Georgie Hincapie. And so their tour continues to be a story of success as we go back up to the leaders here. He's setting the pace at the peloton right now, and this is Steph Clement, who tried to make a late dash yesterday for glory, the time trial champion of Holland. But he, like a lot of riders, got nobody in that breakaway now. So look at the length of that bunch as they stretch it out. 54 kilometres, Paul. That's around 33 miles to go to the finish. Have you seen the length of the line of this peloton? They're hardly hanging back, so those 4 riders up front are riding very quickly.
They certainly are, but they're locked in now, Phil, at 2.5 minutes, and it's been locked in probably for the last 15 kilometres or so. And I think with the addition now of Boyd Teller coming to the front end of the main field, they can pull those 4 riders in pretty much whenever they wanted to. But when you look at the length of the main field that you were just commenting on, that's an indication that it really is a pretty nasty tempo in there.
Well, you can hear those tyres swishing on the road. Those tyres are bullied hard, pumped up to more than 4 times the pressure of a normal car tyre. And they are just streaking along now. And it's all Liquigas here, indicating either Filippo Pozzato or Francisco Kiki are looking for the win today. Not been a great tour for Liquigas at all this year.
Well, it's a good point you raise there. The majority of cars, you pump up the tyre pressure to between 25 and 35 psi, pounds per square inch. These guys are pumping their tyres up to anything from 90 to 120, and especially on a dry day like this, when they know there's no hint of rain in the air, and when they know that the majority of the road surface is going to be good, they'll probably take the risk of pumping up to around about 110 psi.
They have to be careful, especially on days which are topping 32, 33 degrees Celsius, because the tyres expand, and if they do explode, of course, they'll go off with a real bang. But that's a bigger worry, I think, in the mountains, isn't it, Paul, when you're coming down especially?
Yeah, you get the addition there as well in the mountain stages of once you're applying the brakes tend to heat up the rims quite a lot, and that can heat up the tyres, and that does create a problem with tyres exploding. And so on a mountain stage, you probably would run with a slightly lower pressure in the tyres.
Understandable. I mean, you think you're in an ejector seat if those tyres explode at 120 pounds per square inch. These are the 4 leaders, still hoping to hang in. The latest gap is 2 minutes 35 as they continue to rush towards the Haute-Provence of France. There's the peloton, chasing them down. We'll see you in just a moment. That was a flag of Poland, by the way.
They say I should be afraid, because every swimmer in the water is out to get me. Fear is good.
Power Bar. More fuel for more push.
Joey came up with some new bottle designs. Okay, this one says, I appreciate art. And this one says, you're an unselfish lover. And this one says...
You're fired.
In a world gone soft, someone's got to be hard. Mike's Hard Lemonade.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
The world calls us small business owners.
But really, there's nothing small about us.
We have big ideas. We see huge potential. We have enormous dedication.
We have larger-than-life expectations, which is why
we and millions of others
use Visa Business.
Because we do business with the great big world, and no other card.
No other card.
And no other card
is more accepted by it.
Visa Business, used for big ideas. Visit visa.com/smallbusiness.
When they crash in those sprint finishes, that's 40, 45 miles an hour. If they're on a descent, it can be 55, 60 miles an hour. Next time you're in your car at 50 miles an hour, strip down to your underwear and jump out the door. And that's what it's like to crash in a professional bike race.
Welcome back, a Trek aerial view of the beautiful area here around Digne-les-Bains as we go into Haute-Provence today, the High Alps tomorrow, and all of these Romanesque towns are bound in them their hills. The hills the riders will just about tickle today and see for real tomorrow. Tour de France today under the pressure of 4 escaping riders. There they are, 2:34 is still the current gap. 2:35 as I speak, and 31.1 miles to go to the finish. The names are Gutierrez of Caisse d'Epargne, William Bonnet, Crédit Agricole, Bram Tankink, Rabobank, and Sandy Cassar of Française des Jeux. 4 opportunists who got themselves out of a group of 21 just before the peloton snapped up that big group and put them all back in their place. No change of course in the overall. There hasn't been for a few days now. Christian van der Velde will put himself under pressure tomorrow. He's got to keep his eye on everybody. There's still seconds covering the top 5 riders in this race. We're just entering the first sprint here, or the second sprint rather, at Brosson. Huge crowd cheering them through. This race is getting more popular, I think, despite everything that gets thrown at it and the riders who attempt to bring it into disrepute. But these are the riders going through the sprint. And just as they come up here, I don't think they're going to sprint too much here as they start to go. As the riders continue on their way. Well, back at the peloton, there won't be much of a situation back there. They're still going to go through around 3.5 minutes. Gives us a chance to check in with Frankie Andreu, who is our technophile, understands all the bits and bobs of racing bikes. Here he is now looking at the bikes of the Saxo Bank CSC boys.
From first place at Milan-San Remo to winning stages of the Tour de France, like in 2006 with Frank Schleck won in Alpe d'Huez, and in stage 3 last year when Fabian Cancellara beat out all the sprinters, Cervelo bikes have been making riders into champions. I'm here with Gerard Vroomen from Cervelo, and this is the Cervelo SLC SL. And what goes into not only making a bike lightweight, but also aerodynamic?
Well, at Cervelo, we have more experience than any other company in making bikes aerodynamic. We spend about 4 weeks a year in the wind tunnel. So you have these aerodynamic profiles that don't only look aero, they actually are aero. And it's all the details on this bike have been optimized for that effect. So the head tube and the chain stays and the seat stays, everything is aerodynamic. Of course, that's only part of the equation if you have a very aerodynamic bike. but it's not very stiff and you can't get your power onto the road. It doesn't do you any good. So we have optimized the way the carbon fiber goes into the frame. There's about 300 pieces of carbon fiber in a frame, and every piece has to be in the right direction, in the right angle, the right shapes. And that's one of the reasons why we have 14 engineers working for us, because even though we have only 8 real bike models, it takes a lot of people to make those bike models the best in the world.
Definitely a lot of people involved in making the Cervelo bikes, and of course you're going to have your own cheering section on Alpe d'Huez.
Yeah, actually we're shutting down the company the third week of the tour, and everybody's coming over to Alpe d'Huez, and we own the bridge over the road 500 meters from the finish. So there'll be 65 Cervelo employees standing there cheering the team on.
So for Team CSC, they get the benefit of being able to choose the different models that Cervelo offers, from the P3 time trial bike to the R3 SL, or even the Cervelo SLC SL. And perhaps this is why Cervelo has helped CSC become the #1 team in the world.
Absolutely, Frankie. Don't forget you can win an SLC SL bicycle on our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes, so do play that game. Go to versus.com. There's the peloton continuing through at about 2:23, the gap at the moment as they go through the town of Beauson. Looking at the peloton here, massive crowd as they're enjoying life here. And the riders here have gone through the crowd. And it is a big crowd, isn't it, as they check out the town here, but the pace is definitely on. Well, the pace is on now, Paul. That 2:21.2 has come down just as they pass through the town here by 3 seconds. But these riders must know they've got a real chase on their hands here. They're not making great inroads.
Well, it's been locked in. They brought it down very dramatically to begin with. But the fact is, Phil, I'm looking to see that there are 3 teams working pretty hard at the front end of the main field. And I reckon they're just controlling the situation. They know it's a hard run into the finish. They've just gone through the sprint point, which is now where the race will start to climb up once again. We're going through here around about 370 meters in altitude, and it's a long drag up the valley floor here to the climb, the 4th category climb at 9 kilometers to go. It'll start to get very lumpy and very difficult for these 4 leaders.
Well, we're getting closer to the col of the day, which is the Col de l'Orme. It's only a couple of kilometers long, but it must be reasonably steep. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a col. We'll find out. These are the leaders looking low angle there, straight at a pure blue sky, and a temperature now of 91 degrees Fahrenheit. It actually there's hardly any humidity. It's the most pleasant heat, I have to say, today, and the riders will be receiving the benefit of the wind, which is slightly faced to cross and is around 12 miles an hour at the moment. This is the face of Jose Ivan Gutierrez, 5 Tours de France. But whether he's thinking they won't make it, I'm pretty sure of that. That's probably why he shook his head there. William Bonnet in the break, he's had 2 tours under his belt, Bram Tankink 3 and Sandy Cassar 7. So there's no strangers to the Tour de France, these boys. There's Sandy Cassar also forcing a wry smile. I think it's a smile, I'm not too sure actually. It might be a bit of a grimace, huh? Okay, well, as they continue, we'll take another break. We're going to give you a lot of commercial free towards the end. See you in a moment.
One of the biggest challenges for geoscientists is trying to find the oil and gas that's hidden below the surface of the Earth. Lately, our researchers have developed a new technology called R3M. You can't see it and you can't feel it, but the Earth has electromagnetic waves. And if you build the right kinds of listening devices, you can make sense of those waves. So using those tools, we can supply more of the energy that we need with less of an impact on the environment.
Kenda Tires is giving cycling fans the chance of a lifetime with the Kenda Fantasy Cycling Challenge. Pick your riders, watch the tour, and you could win a trip to the 2009 Tour de France. Kenda, the #1 bicycle tire in North America, also offers high-quality passenger tires and light truck tires that are both reliable and affordable, which is why so many people trust Kenda Tires, no matter what they're driving. For more information about Kenda Tires and to find a dealer near you, visit KendaTiresUSA.com. Kenda Tires, performance-minded, value-conscious.
At At the 5th Annual Aspen Snowmass Ride for the Cure, Komen Aspen invites you to choose your challenge of either a 100, 60, 30, or 10-mile ride through the beautiful Rocky Mountains. Registration for the Aspen Snowmass Ride for the Cure on September 6th includes meals, a jersey, and a finish line party with fun activities for the whole family. For more information, fundraising, and training tips, call the Ride Hotline or visit the website.
Saving energy at home is simple. Here are some steps you can take each day as you leave your home. Turn it down. Unplug it. Turn it off. Yes, it's a CFL. Take a ride. Share a ride.
Or ride.
The new energy economy, helping you save energy at home. Learn more at colorado.gov/energy.
Welcome back. Oscar Freire leads in the green jersey competition. As we look at the back of the race here, there's the situation. Hushoft, I don't think is in second place now. Cavendish is given it on the virtue of his wins, but he is the same points as Hushoft. Zabel is 4th and Kirken is 5. But I have to say that people are saying that Cavendish is not going to finish the Tour de France because of the Olympics. But I wonder if he'll change his mind now that he has got himself up into those top 3 positions in the green jersey. I think we can actually go to the start now and see what he's got to say to Frankie Andreu.
Mark, you have 4 stage wins right now. You just had your morning meeting. You're tied for second place for the green jersey. You are the favorite. Will your team ride aggressively to be able to keep it for a field sprint, or is it the feeling that other teams need to win and you might leave it up to them?
I think, the latter is it's more likely to happen now. We've showed how, we've rode and rode and rode all week, and everyone's looked at us to ride. We've got 4 stage wins now, and I don't think we actually need to do any more, so we'll leave it to the other teams, I think, and let them try and get.
If it comes down to the sprint today, obviously you have a great chance of getting the green jersey. What are your plans going into the Alps? We've heard that you've talked about possibly trying to stop.
I'll take every day as it comes, still take every day as it comes, and I'll always carry on to take every day as it comes. So.
All right, good luck.
Thanks very much.
Well, he's won stages 5, 8, 12 and 13. He tells everybody every day as it comes. His management says he won't go into the Alps, so we'll just have to wait and find out, won't we? Mark Cavendish still always affording us a smile. Just looking at these 4 riders and thinking of Mark Cavendish, Paul. He won stages 5, 8, 12 and 13. Every time you speak to him, he always says, I'm going to take every day as it comes. And he has a wry smile on his face. And yet you talk to the management, no, he's going to go before the never see Paris. We don't really know.
Well, I have a feeling, Phil, with the form that he's got, he doesn't want to go away from this race. So logically, he's saying to himself, I need to leave the Tour de France now because I want to try and get a gold medal at the Olympic Games. I want to ride the Madison. It's something that he really has been dreaming about since he won the world title in that event in the early part of this year. But when you're winning stages like this, when you're writing the history books and you've got that form and that sprint, it's difficult to turn your back on this event. After all, for the professional bike rider, this is the biggest event in the world. It is the biggest event of the calendar, and for many of them it's even more important than the Olympic Games.
It is indeed for the bike rider, but for the British public, of course, and for all of the peers there, they'll remember Mark Cavendish forever when he wins a gold medal, because British newspapers will have him all over the newspapers, as indeed they did with Chris Boorman when he was the first gold medalist in cycling for 75 years. But you're right, I mean, when you're lying second in the green jersey competition, very difficult to walk away.
Well, the competition we're talking about is the competition that Stuart O'Grady won in the 2004 Olympic Games, and that's the Madison discipline, which he won there after riding the road race first. And at the time, O'Grady, who'd had the yellow jersey in the Tour, he'd worn the green jersey, he'd won stages in the Tour de France. He said his Olympic gold medal was the greatest moment of his career. But I wonder if he had to choose between the Olympic gold medal and Paris-Roubaix, which he would choose.
Ça, c'est la question. Okay, 1:26. The gap is at last beginning to tumble quite quickly now. 42 kilometers to go. what's that, about 26 miles, I guess, as these boys are getting on ripples. It don't look very hilly around here, but in fact it is quite hard going. They're in very exposed countryside. The wind is not entirely favourable today. It is extremely hot as well, but the road surface is the sort that doesn't melt under the wheels like some road surfaces, so it shouldn't be feeling too hard. But there's the drive coming from Bouygues Telecom right now, and Liquigas and Team Milram. We'll take another break, and when we do come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Garmin-Chipotle's David Miller, who might even be jumping away for gold on the last climb of the day today.
Everybody wondered, is he really as passionate about these causes as he shows to the press?
A lot of choices, huh?
Tell me about it.
Because you want a beer that's not too heavy.
Yeah?
But you don't want to compromise on taste, so.
No, I don't.
Just want that perfect balance.
Budweiser. Oh, thanks, man. You know, they ought to pay you.
Steer to health.
You look so fine that I really want to make you mine.
It's got some oomph.
And it gets great gas mileage.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, I could get used to it.
Phil?
When is this event gonna be over?
Soon. Real soon. Thanks, Phil.
An event like this can get a little wild.
The Autobahn for All Summer event. Get 3 VWs for under $199 a month or 0% APR on all 08 models.
When you're Hendrick Motorsports, every race is a battle fought with Q Motor Oil technology. Get the Q horsepower specially designed for your car. Unleash all your horses.
Days Inn has a sunny new look outside. It's the sign of more value than ever inside.
The bed was really comfortable, the pillows were soft, lots of pillows. I slept like a baby.
Tap Out's back, and they're looking for a fight. Rolling cross country, searching for the next MMA badass.
I'm ready to rock!
Tap Out, new season begins July 30th on Versus.
It's gonna work. I don't think it will. Let's go. Dad? It's time. You'd be a really nice catch for somebody. Please?
Just for Men takes 5 easy minutes, targets only the gray hair, and can start something great.
For my girls.
Yes! I'm glad we did it.
Just for Men.
In cycling, there are two main components, man and machine. The man requires fuel to create power, and the machine turns that power into speed. At Cervelo, we engineer the most fuel-efficient bikes on the planet. That means aerodynamics, stiffness, and lightweight. All in one package.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, David Miller there. These are the standings at the moment of the Garmin-Chipotle team. Only Magnus Bagstedt sadly eliminated into Aurillac. The rest of the riders still riding extremely well, and all in defence of Christian van der Velde, who goes into the mountains tomorrow, 38 seconds off that yellow jersey. David Miller there at 35 minutes, but he is the strong man when it comes to guiding these boys around the roads, and he also rode high once. So let's tell you a little bit more about the British former champion.
Grew up in a lot of countries, but the one thing that kind of took me between all the countries I used to always do is cycling. And I kind of fell in love with the sport, and I fell in love with the dream of doing a Tour de France. I managed to get a professional contract by the time I was 19, and by the time I was 27, I'd been arrested for doping. I then got banned for 2 years.
He's seen what drugs in cycling can do, and he's taken 2 years out of the sport, and he paid a very, very hefty price for the mistake he made.
Everybody wondered, is he really as passionate about these causes as he, shows to the press? And within 5 minutes, it was just like, wow, he's an amazing guy. The energy he brings, the focus, and also the experience. And all three are huge assets to this program.
David Miller brings, obviously, a wealth of experience, both on and off the bike. He's a fantastic rider. It's no secret he's made some mistakes, and instead of just kind of disappearing into the shadows or denying it, he said, yeah, I made a mistake, but I want to make it right, and I want to help the next generation not have to deal with this. It's great having a leader like that on the team.
As far as an athlete, he's an enormous motor. His talent is great. He's a natural leader. He's a very intelligent person, and he's a very talented bike rider. He's a guy who, won the prologue at Paris-Nice last year, and he was also named to the WADA Athletes Board.
He's been around the sport. He's done everything. He's done all the Grand Tours. He knows a lot about cycling. His leadership values are very, very high. When he says something, we all will listen. We've seen him achieve great things, and we all have a lot of faith in his decisions.
Obviously, he's one of the most gifted athletes out there, and that's just another fantastic thing that this team now has going. We've got a lot of guys with incredible talent, and hopefully we can pull that all together and really turn it into some concrete results.
Yes, and David Miller's never been happier than with this new American team, Gorman Chipotle either. He now is, of course, a great campaigner against drugs in sport. A little bit of information for you. He's born in Malta, actually, although, as his mum will tell you, she calls him a Scot because she's Glaswegian. 3 career Tour de France stage wins. He's held the yellow jersey in the Tour de France and second overall in this year's Tour of California, sponsored there by Amgen. Looking out across the field, and they are closing in. It's 1 minute 10 seconds now at 23 miles to go. Average speed today 28.2 miles an hour, or 45.4 kilometers an hour, so it's a very quick Tour de France stage today, despite the fact they've got the mountains tomorrow. They still need to lift it just a bit, otherwise they're going to get themselves all wrapped up with the Col de l'Orme, which only comes 9.5 kilometers from the finish. If our computer is to have any credence at all, Paul, they've got to catch him in 4 kilometers.
Well, do you believe the computer? You haven't actually believed it since the start of the tour.
No, I haven't, have I? Yeah.
I like to use it as a guessometer rather than an actual finite maneuver. It's something that we can use as a guideline, but it doesn't factor out the strength of character of some of these bike riders, and it doesn't either factor out the fact that they can lift their speed. It was working out on the average speed, but we do know that the leading group of 4 riders, I think, are judging their average speed on the return of the main field, and for a lot of occasions are actually prolonging the agony of the chase for the men in the pack.
Well, other than the fact that we've had one retirement today of Nicolas Jalabert, it's been a pretty routine stage. We always have somebody fall off. Today it was Fabian Cancellara, but he stood straight up, grabbed his bike and got back in. Other than that, it's just been the break and the bunch. And the bunch is now getting around that corner. They might start to see this rider as the helicopters flying over the race start to reveal the position of that breakaway. Well, the gap is 1:17. It's gone out very slightly, but the bunch are still chasing. For the break, come back and join us as we get towards that climb before the finish.
We should come up with a new Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, something for fat guys.
Presenting Mike's Hard Light Lemonade.
Yoo-hoo! Progressive shoppers, safe drivers discounts are yours for the taking in aisle 3.
Safe drivers save money. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Attention, Progressive shoppers, introducing new pet injury coverage. Now when Progressive covers your car, we cover your pet at no extra charge. That's a cat.
New pet injury coverage. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
Pretty good move so far.
Can I use the extra bedroom as a walk-in closet? I wonder what cheerleaders wear in Florida.
Make your move stress-free with the most trusted name in moving. United Van Lines. Love your move.
Domestique literally means servant.
Christian Vandeveld was a domestique. He served Lance Armstrong for 5 years. Now, he's serving notice.
Got a car to sell?
Go to vehix.com.
Millions of people go to vehix.com looking for a car.
I would never do a newspaper classified again.
The best part is it's free.
Absolutely free.
All you do is you upload a picture.
You put in a few facts about your car.
Then someone searches for a used car like yours.
Bingo, there's your car.
Pops up in their search results.
And it's free.
How can you beat that? This is the best way to sell a car.
List your used car for free and reach millions of car buyers at vehix.com, your online resource to find your ride. Search our online inventory. Thousands of vehicles are added weekly.
Got a car to sell?
Go to vehix.com.
Millions of people go to vehix.com looking for a car.
I would never do a newspaper classified again.
The best part is it's free.
Absolutely free.
All you do is you upload a picture.
You put in a few facts about your car.
Then someone searches for a used car like yours.
Bingo, there's your car.
Pops up in their search results.
And it's free.
How can you beat that? This is the best way to sell a car.
List your used car for free and reach millions of car buyers at vehix.com, your online resource to find your ride. Dealer inventories are now searchable at vehix.com on your mobile phone.
I'm the guy that everybody wants to beat.
Just a reminder that when the tour is over, the next stage of Versus at Red, White, Black and Blue Summer begins on July 30. The boys are back with Season 2 of Tap Out. Then for the first time on American television, Versus will premiere the Contender Muay Thai. Then again, on August the 3rd, 3 champions will put their belts on the line in a night of live World Extreme Cage fighting from Vegas. That's Versus Red, White, Black and Blue Summer. All rolls on July 30. Right now, the boys are rolling towards the finish here, and they still haven't caught these guys. In fact, the gap has gone out about 10 or so seconds since we were last with us. 1 minute 34 now. They're really going to have to start throwing it about at the front of that peloton because they're leaving all the work to one rider just at the moment. William Bonnet, Gutierrez, Cassar tanking. Now, I bet you Cassar will break on this climb if they're still clear.
That's what he'll be thinking about, but I'll tell you one man who will go immediately after him, I reckon, will be the man in the black and red jersey, Jose Ivan Gutierrez, because he's been sent up there by Team K Stepania to represent Alejandro Valverde and Oscar Pereiro in that breakaway group. They've had a pretty good race so far, Phil, K Stepania, because they've had themselves 2 victories, one for Valverde and one for Luis Leon Sanchez.
Well, they've had 3 really now. They've kicked out Rico.
I was just going to mention the possibility.
Carry on then.
The legal victories they've had so far are 2, and the other ones, once everyone's finished shouting and complaining and all the rules and regulations have been applied, it will make 3 victories with the 1-2 super best for Alejandro Valverde.
Rico, by the way, who was kicked off the tour for allegedly using EPO. He was taken to Mirepoix by the police, where he had a very unpleasant night in jail. They released him next day. They escorted him to the French borders with Italy and kicked him into Italy. But he is bound to come back and face a court because it's against the law now to take or to carry unprescribed drugs or unprescribed drugs.
Exactly, and the Italian press, I have to say, I had a look at 1 or 2 of the Italian newspapers overnight. They were not very complimentary at all. They were not happy at all with some rather rude words in Italian on the front page of, for example, the Gazzetta dello Sporto.
It's a great shame because the Italian people pinned a lot of hope on that young man. They thought he was the next youngster that was going to be a great Italian sportsman. We may never hear of him again now. 1:33, the gap is nudging up again. Inside 20 miles to go now. Well, we saw that lovely Cervelo bicycle with Frankie Andreu early. Well, you can win one if you join our Saab Watch and Win sweepstakes. And you go to versus.com/fly to the finish. Every day, join the Tour de France, play the game. Today's code word is Cervelo. So enjoy that as we enjoy the Tour de France today. Very nervous bunch of riders. Want to get this want to get this race over with today before they start taking on the big mountains, which begin in the first 20 kilometers of tomorrow's stage. So it's going to be a toughie. You've got a little bit of help up for the Boyd Telecom boys now. There are 2 riders up here. Liquigas also interfering, and the chase is back on. The gap has come down now. 1 minute 25. See you in a moment.
They say I should be afraid, because every swimmer in the water is out to get me. Fear is good.
Power Bar. More fuel for more push.
For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. Turning repetition into joy. The efficient performance of the Saab Turbo.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
For the first time on American television, centuries in the making, they fight for honor, for country, for survival. 16 warriors, one goal, to become the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. From the creator of Survivor, The Contender Muay Thai premieres Thursday, July 31st on Versus.
The world calls us small business owners.
But really, there's nothing small about us.
We have big ideas. We see huge potential. We have enormous dedication.
We have larger-than-life expectations, which is why
we and millions of others use Visa Business.
Because we do business with a great big world. And no other card.
No other card.
And no other card
is more accepted by it.
Visa Business, used for big ideas. Visit visa.com/smallbusiness.
Do you dread giving your dog a bath as much as your dog dreads getting one? Wish there was a faster, easier way without all the mess and stress? Introducing the Rapid Bath Pet Bathing System, the all-in-one wet, wash, and rinse pet bathing solution. The Rapid Bath System's patented Inject Air technology deep cleans with a relaxing massage action that penetrates all the way through the undercoat, cutting bath time to a fast and efficient 3 minutes. Now is the perfect time to pick up your complete Rapid Bath Pet Bathing System, available at PetSmart today.
Let's check in on our Budweiser American standings. Only 4 Americans in the race, but they've all made an impression this year. Van der Velde, the biggest, of course, still sits in that 3rd place overall. Where will he be tomorrow night? We hope higher, if not the same. George Hincapie is there in 54th. Danny Page, 116th. And Will Fishgorn, he's really been a very active rider there. He's 137th overall at the moment. But he's with Frankie down at the start this morning. Oh, he's with Robbie Ventura, chatting with him this morning. So let's see what he had to say.
Will, you seem to have a nose for the long breakaway, Milano-San Remo, stage 3 of this year's Tour de France. Will you have the green light to go for it again today?
Yeah, I think today, and then a couple of the transition stages afterwards as well. You know, today's an interesting one because Cavendish just killed it, you know, in every single sprint stage. I think the other teams will be a little hesitant to take responsibility, and I mean, Colombia's got 4 wins from him, so I think there's a chance for it today. I mean, obviously our focus is still protecting Christian, keeping around him, but I'll be looking out for him.
Speaking of looking out for Christian, you got the Alps tomorrow, the big day. Christian's in 3rd place in overall GC. What are your expectations of Christian tomorrow, and what will your team's role be to keep him fresh for the base of those climbs?
Well, I think in all honesty, we've exceeded expectations. I mean, it's amazing. Everything. It's honestly, we feel like everything from this point's a bonus, and hopefully a big bonus. You know, he's still running around. Looks like he's barely raced yet. He's spry. He's ready to go. I mean, hopefully the Alp stages will treat him well. I mean, he looks good for him. So we'll focus on just keeping him out of the wind, where he needs to be at the start of the climbs, and hopefully he can finish it off.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Will. Well, in fact, Will was in this early move from where these four riders came. He went back into the bunch, probably thinking this wasn't going to work. And as you've just seen, they've suddenly started to attack at 27 kilometres from the finish. They may have unshipped William Bonnet here, as he is the one furthest behind our camera. Well, it's come a little bit earlier than we thought, Paul, but the gap has come down quickly now to 48 seconds, and this move may already have got rid of William Bonnet.
Well, Bonnet is the sprinter in that leading group of four, and he maybe didn't have the power to react to this move. You saw the man to react there was Bram Tankink. He tried to come across there immediately, then was relayed by Sandy Cassar. But you can never forget that Jose Ivan Gutierrez, Phil, is an incredible time trialist. He's in fact been the national time trial champion of Spain on a number of occasions.
He has 3 times, in fact, and this year, just before the tour started, he got the bronze medal in his national time trial championship. But in Bradas at the moment, these two riders are going to feel a little bit miffed right now because they couldn't grab the wheel of Jose Ivan Gutierrez, who's coming up 30 years of age. One big win this year for him on a stage of the Tour of Valencia in Spain. It's a stage race, by the way, that he led that race for 2 days, finally finishing it in 4th overall. He's a very good rider. He's a good stage race rider. He won the Tour of the Mediterranean. Dare I tell you, Paul Sherwen was once the king of the mountains in that race, but I'm not sure even I was born. Sorry, Paul.
Oh, well, don't worry about that. Actually, I won the points classification in the Tour of the Mediterranean as well. It was one of those races that early on in the year I always enjoyed, I should say.
Okay. Well, there's the man who's made his move. He's committed himself now at 26 kilometres from the finish. He won't be afraid of the climb. That'll be 25 kilometres to go at the banner. But he's got to go now because the field are coming back so quickly.
Well, this man could create a little bit of a surprise this afternoon, Phil, because, you know, he was the under-23 world time trial champion, and in the professional level of the time trial championships of the world, he's 3 times finished inside of the top 10.
Well, good for him, and look at this lovely crowd here as we start to go towards the finishing line. Inside 25 kilometres to go, and he's going to receive all the applause here from a holidaying crowd, very generous in their applause by the look of it.
These really are tough roads as well. You can also see that the tarmac and the tar on the surface is starting to melt, an indication that this has been a very hot day in Provence.
The break has come about 25.5 kilometres from the leaders. They've just split, and now we're seeing Gutierrez on his own. That's the peloton. But they're closing in very, very quickly now. They're about 40 seconds back of the leaders and still riding. The clock there saying 1:02, but in fact Gutierrez has probably stretched it just that little bit. They've now gone under 25 kilometres to go.
Just at the back of the main field there, Stefan Schumacher doing the job of work for the team here, taking on board drinks for everybody, but the action really here is at the front. And once they've heard about the move there, Phil, I think from Jose Ivan Gutierrez, there'll be a little bit of panic starting to appear amongst the riders, because he's a rider who has a very big reputation for being able to ride against the clock on his own and a solitary effort. And for this main field now, they'll start to wonder, can we bring him back?
Well, this is the town of Bradas, which is a typical Provence, apparently a single street village. Well, I'm sure there's some side turnings, but the ruins of the original village is still off to the right of the riders here, as they now begin to work out that he's a former champion of his country in the time trial. He's building up a gap. Well, just look at the way he's jumping around there. He's unleashed a bit of savagery onto that, hasn't he? As the riders behind are going to have to work very hard. I think they'll find the bunch are going to pick them up very quickly. The peloton is hunting. That's how it all happened. Is he going to win? A lot of people would like to think so.
What if we could replace something harmful with water? The Honda Fuel Cell Vehicle, a car that emits no pollution, only clean water vapor.
532, 533, 534. Crazy times call for crazy fun. Enter the Ultimate Vegas Escape Sweepstakes at visitlasvegas.com.
Next time you're in your car, strip down to your underwear and jump out the door. And that's what it's like to crash in a professional bike race.
Have you ever had an idea for a product or invention and didn't know who to tell or where to go because you didn't know who you could trust? Well, the answer is simple. Call InventHelp. Because we've been helping people like you for over 20 years. We're America's leading invention company with over 50 offices nationwide. It's not easy deciding what to do, but InventHelp's priority is you. First, you need to call. The call is free, there's no obligation, so stop waiting and call today.
A great summer break never lasts as long as you'd like. That's why at Furniture Row, we're now offering a summer break that lasts up to 4 years. During our Super Summer Break Savings event, we're featuring our once-a-year offer of 4 years no interest with no payments for the first year. That's no interest for 4 years, our guaranteed lowest prices, and no payments for the first year. These are the last days to take advantage of Furniture Row's Super Summer Break Savings. Our 4-year no interest offer ends Tuesday, July 29th.
You can defend that belt.
I'm the guy that everybody wants to beat.
Welcome back, and don't forget some of the stages you must not miss with Bicycle Magazine. Stage 17, live Wednesday morning. We start at 6:30 Eastern as we follow the riders over the Galibier and onward, up the Croix de Fer, and finally to the big finish on Alpe d'Huez. That is definitely a stage not to be missed. Also visit bicycling.com's award-winning coverage of the Tour de France, read a daily blog from David Miller, and view the GPS-enabled maps. Well, as the riders push on, let's see if we can just get back into Team Columbia's car and see what they're saying.
Tell him he still have to try. Nobody is feeling fucking good now, I tell you. Everybody is dropping. Okay.
Hold on 1 second, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
The last climb is not that difficult. The last climb is not that difficult. It's the first kilometer is not steep. It's always a big chainring, they say. Big road, big chainring, and only 1.5 kilometers it's a mountain, it's a climb. The rest is not super difficult, so if he starts in the front, he will hang on, I mean, but if not, then not. Give it a try.
Yeah, what they're doing here is they're trying to get information to Mark Cavendish to tell him that the climb is not too difficult.
You don't stay with Mark.
There we are.
Don't stay with Mark. No, you stay with Gerald.
Right, then if Mark fails, clearly Cholik is their man for the win today if they bring the race back. That's their plan, but they think the climb is not that difficult. Big chainring, top gear. Boy, that's a professional cyclist for you. I'd need the bottom gear. Well, back with the leader here, Gutierrez. The Team Columbia team car are telling their riders, Paul, that the climb is a big chain wheel climb, and that if Mark falters in any way, to leave him and to concentrate on Gerald Cholik getting the win.
Well, Gerard Cholik has got a fine chance of getting himself over the climb, but Mark Cavendish, if he wants to get himself across the top of this climb, Phil, needs to move to the front end of the main field with his team and start the climb in 10th or 15th position, and then slowly slide back as they go up the climb and hope that he stays in contact with the back end of the main field as they summit. And I can tell you that's the best way to climb if you're a non-climber, because that's how I used to stay in the pack.
Well, looking at this man, who doesn't have to climb right now, quite so pressurized. He's at 20 kilometers to go. Jose Ivan Gutierrez looking for the first ever stage win in a big Grand Tour, and the Tour de France don't get any grander. Now there's that same 20-kilometer banner. We're pulling back. Let's see if we pick up the two leaders and just how far they... Oh, well, that's the peloton. So 47 seconds. It looks to me now as though he's going to have a job to hold them off.
He's going to have a serious job, because once that road kicks up in front of him, Phil, on the slopes of that 4th category climb, it would be like having a man with a rolled up newspaper whacking him on the forehead. And these guys have certainly not slowed down at all. They've kept their tempo going consistently all of the time now for around about 40 kilometers. They've been chasing at around about 30 miles an hour. They've never slowed down, and they've always felt dedicated to the cause, and the cause is catching the leading group. Leading group now is only one man left, and that's this man, Jose Ivan Gutierrez.
It's going to be very, very difficult now at 45 seconds and coming down quite regularly. We're getting onto the slopes of the climb, but this isn't actually part of the climb, but it's all uphill anyway. And he's going to be finding it very, very hard. I think we can expect to see Mark Cavendish's team come to the front. If Mark finds the hill too hard, they're going to switch their allegiance to their other sprinter, and that's Gerard Cholik, one of the youngest riders in the race, the second youngest actually.
Yeah, just a quick glimpse there at the heart rate, just to give you an indication of how hard it's starting to get. Ronnie Schultz there just a few moments ago was showing a heart rate of up around 150 beats a minute.
Well, it's getting hard then. These boys, Boyd Telecom now, they've been on the front doing an awful lot of work here, trying to set things up for their sprinter. And they've got some good finishes in their group, or maybe Pulik Vidrigo might do something. I tell you what, that'll please Bob Roll. We'll take a break. Come back and join us.
We should come up with a new Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, something for fat guys.
Presenting Mike's Hard Light Lemonade.
Jimmy? Casey? Dale? Yeah, man. Let's rock.
When you're Hendrick Motorsports, every race is a battle. And every win comes with Q Motor Oil technology. And there's a Q horsepower specially designed to help maximize the power.
In your car.
Unleash all your horses.
Tired of being slammed by high prices? Denny's helps you slam back. Right now, build your own Grand Slam with whatever you want on it, all for just $5.99 at Denny's. And now, enjoy a hot, satisfying breakfast, even on the go, with our new Denny's Dome.
If you plan on building, furnishing, or remodeling your home, or you're just tired of paying retail, don't spend another dollar. Now, you can enjoy an incredible selection of top quality name brand products priced up to 50% less than retail. Take the first step towards saving hundreds or even thousands of dollars on nearly anything for your home. Call for your free Direct Buy Insider's Guide to Buying Direct and learn what retailers don't want you to know. Each full color page of the Insider's Guide is packed with powerful information. Discover some of the hundreds of thousands of products available from over 700 name brand manufacturers. Everything, including furniture, cabinets, appliances, flooring, lighting fixtures, and so much more, all without retail markups. At Direct Buy, you can't afford to miss this valuable opportunity. Call the number on your screen now to get your own Direct Buy Insider's Guide. You'll also receive a visitor's pass and map to the Direct Buy showroom nearest you. The sooner you call, the sooner you'll be buying direct. So call now.
For the first time on American television, centuries in the making, they fight for honor, for country, for survival. 16 warriors, one goal, to become the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. From the creator of Survivor, The Contender Muay Thai, premieres Thursday, July 31st on Versus.
Welcome back. Well, don't forget our Fantasy Cycle Challenge, Kenda. It is proving extremely popular. www.versit.com/Kenda. You can play on a daily basis as well for the overall. Bit late for the overall, but choose your team and win some great prizes. And enjoy trying to pick out the winners of the Tour de France every day. As we look down the river here, the Durance, and the riders speed towards Digne-les-Bains. It's now just on half a minute, 35 seconds. But a great show of defiance, there's no doubt, by Jose Ivan Gutierrez, one of the best breaks he's ever made in a Tour de France, and he's ridden 5 of them. And the peloton, he's really drawing the sting of them. They are not running down at him quite as fast as I would like to see, because he's still got this little col before the finish, and it'll be advantage his strength there, I think.
Well, once he gets to the slope of the climb, Phil, I think he may well find that his impetus starts to disappear away from him. I reckon the catch could happen at around about 11 kilometers, and that's what the onboard computer is telling me. Sitting at the back of the group there is Bernard Eisel of Team Columbia. He's done a lot of work over these last few stages to look after Mark Cavendish, and maybe Mark Cavendish will be riding up to the front end here. If he's thinking about the possibility of win number 5, he needs to be sitting, Phil, in around about 15th to 25th place.
Well, a lot of riders, it looks easy in the big bunch, but it most certainly is not. This has been a high average speed today in very hot conditions, nearly 28.5 miles an hour. And so anybody near the back will find it hard to move forward today. The pressure most certainly on. I think a lot of riders will be suffering in this sun. So we could have a very different race once we go up this climb.
Absolutely, and in fact, if you're not at the front end of the main field, you might as well resign yourself to finishing in the top 100 places, because it's very difficult to move up on the slopes of a climb, and then it will be full on from the summit of the climb. It's 9 kilometers down towards the finish line, 4 kilometers downhill, and then 5 kilometers of flat in the outskirts of Digne-les-Bains.
As we continue to go through the small Romanesque towns, the peloton not having time to notice them. This is Mézel, 15 kilometers from the finish of the peloton. The leaders are through and out. The top of our picture there, you can see the vehicles going through. And the peloton now are closing in. That's actually the spread of the Tour de France right now.
Yep, just at the top, you might just have caught a glimpse of the last tail of the vehicles. Those are the vehicles behind the lone leader, Jose Ivan Gutierrez. The time gap I've got, Phil, is actually coming down to around about 23 seconds. So that's not really very much more than about 300 meters advantage. When they leave this small town of Mézel and get out onto the open road again, they'll have this man pretty much in their sights.
Well, he's hurting now, and I'm not surprised. He had to make the move when he did. I think it was a little bit earlier than he wanted to go. He wanted to get a bit closer to this climb, because at 9.5 kilometers to go over the top, he would have had a real chance. I'm not sure now. You see, this road doesn't appear very hard on television, but they are climbing steadily all of the time now. And you see this, Paul, they're trying to get things organized, the chase.
Well, what happened there was the rider from Boyd Telecom just couldn't hold the wheel of his teammate in front of him, and so as not to break the line, he put his hand back and gave what is called the Madison sling to the other rider behind him to close the gap up and said, look, I can't do this anymore, I'm out of here.
Yes, well, the other rider looked quite confused there. He wasn't too sure whether he wanted to go forward or backward, but anyway, the other guy went backward. There's the peloton. Life in the back is hurting. Fabian Weckman there also. As we continue on, let me remind you for a final time, nip over to Saab Wash and Win sweepstakes. Put my teeth back in, versus.com/fly to the finish. Enjoy your chance to win some great prizes. The watchword today, which you'll need, is Cervelo. And that's also one of the prizes, so enjoy that. This is still Gutierrez now, but is he going to make it? Looking a bit slim, isn't it? It's about this stage of every day of the Tour de France. We always hope the attacker does fool the bunch and get away with it, but it looks like he may not. Oh, he's added a second. There's still a hope. The computer's saying the catch will come at 11 kilometers now, but 12.5 is where we are. So he's 3 kilometers from the top of the climb. So he's about to start the climb, Paul.
He's about to start the climb, and he's losing impetus. You can see the top part of his body now, Phil, is starting to rock a fraction. That's just trying to keep those big pedals ticking over and keep his pace as high as 30 miles an hour. But once they see the straight, well, there's the barrier. Just that little banner there indicates the start of the climb for Jose Ivan Gutierrez. These guys in the main field are making a hard time of trying to pull him back into the fold. And queuing up behind him, there are 1 or 2 riders waiting to take advantage, including Alejandro Valverde, champion of Spain.
Well, looking at Stephen de Jong's pulse rate, he just shot up to just under 150 beats. He's gone into the yellow zone. Next stop, the red zone, so it's beginning to hurt here. There is the peloton. Now, let's see, at 14 seconds, they can almost reach him. It is coming down alarmingly quickly now. And if they do get near him, we'll see riders sprint off the head of the pack to try and make their dive for home.
2.5 kilometers to climb, an average gradient of just inside of 5%. The summit of the climb, to be exact, is 9.5 kilometers to go to the finish, but it peaks out at 734 meters. That's nothing really compared to what we're facing up till tomorrow, but it will feel like a massive mountain for this man here, number 35, Jose Ivan Gutierrez.
Well, we've had no shortage of rent-a-crowd today, have we? They have been all along the route today, enjoying a warm summer's day in the south of France, in the shadows, almost in the east of France here, in the shadows of the Alps. 13 seconds the gap. He is doing brilliantly here, Jose Ivan Gutierrez. There's the crowd and there's the peloton swinging out onto the wide boulevard. Shame for the chaps on the right. That's a hard way round. But thankfully they're all round safely, and this is the attacks we expected. They can see each other.
Thomas Voeckler has come out of the front here now. This is not really a surprise at all. This man likes to rise to the occasion. One of the reasons the team has been all over the front end is to try and set something up for this final climb of the day. This is what's happening at the back. A lot of riders were waiting for this climb because they knew it was going to hurt, but the attacks are coming thick and fast. The chase behind Thomas Voeckler was taken up by a rider from Team Lamprey.
Well,
there's the catch.
There's the catch straight by him. Voeckler, though, is he being joined by Damiano Cunego? It could well be him coming on here. All those riders who sat up at the back might well have included Mark Cavendish simply because that was not the attacks they wanted. It's not Cunego. It could be Matteo Bono who's made a move here.
Well, that was a very sharp move, but he's not really got that much of an advantage off the front end of the main field. Phil, I tell you what, Thomas Voeckler has been caught, and instead of staying in fifth gear of the attack, he's gone straight into reverse.
Well, he made it to about the 11-kilometre point, the computer getting it right in the end, and they wiped him out. A great shame. The peloton all together. Thomas Voeckler made his move. He thought he had a chance. They're on him straight away. Now, let's just see how we tail out on the peloton here. A lot of riders, when that attack came, simply sat up there. Just looking at this guy's face, Paul, it could well be Daniele Righi here who's made the move.
Team Euskaltel-Euskadi are coming across the line there. This is a great move by the men from the orange team of the Basque Country. The pacemaking on the front is now being taken up by Team Quickstep. That's a very long line of riders. The Cadel Evans is right up at the front end of it. Not a problem at all for him. But now another move coming over the top of the race. Of pretty much controlled. Vincenzo Nibali is leading out there at the front end of the main field for Team Liquigas, but I think he's trying to set something up for his man, and his man has got to be Pippo Pozzato.
Yeah, Stuart O'Grady dropping off the back of the peloton there as well. They want a reasonable ride going in. This looks like it might be Carlos Barredo.
I think it is Carlos Barredo. This is the damage, Phil, at the back end of the main field. The sprinters are not enjoying this at all. They are disappearing from the back end of the group. Looks like a Chula going backwards for Team Barlow World. There's the indicator of 10 kilometers to go to the finish line, and that's around about 500 meters, Phil, from the top of the climb.
Well, while we see Carlos Barredo going here, his teammate Stefan de Jong, I mentioned his pulse rate. He's shaking his head. Stefan de Jong decided that he was going off the back of the bunch at the other end. So look at this now, all of that hard work done today by Liquigas to try and set this up, possibly for Pozzato, and look at this. This, I think, was to be expected. Mark Cavendish wasn't able to follow those flurry of attacks, so if Team Columbia are going to win today now, it's attention, Gerard Cholik.
Well, what's nice to see is in second position in the line there, in fact, is Jaroslav Popovic. But this is Cavendish, he won't give up. He won't give up. He's trying to stay in contact. He's going to have to try and pull himself inside out, Phil, if he wants to stay in contact with this main field. But Liquigas are ripping up the front end of the main field. There is Bernard Cole in the pale blue jersey, fourth overall in the classification. Just a little bit further back is the yellow jersey of Cadel Evans. This is really full on here.
Well, this is the only way. They've got to lift this and pedal to the upper limits, these super domestiques of the teams, to try and crack the back of the field and prepare the way for their team leaders. Pozzato and Kiki are up here for Liquigas.
Well, Popovic popped there. Bernard Cole comes across the gap there. Look at that strange style of his, very gangly as he gets right onto the back of the riders from Liquigas. Coming across as an acceleration now coming from Team CSC. It looks as if that may well be the style of Andy Schleck, and immediately you can see the yellow jersey. He will not let one of the Schleck brothers go clear.
Cadel Evans immediately showing his strength. This is the warning now. The Alps are over the shoulder. But as they come over the top of the climb here, Cadel has joined the split.
So too as Alejandro Valverde, straight across the gap. Now watch for the rider there who's the champion of Spain. You've seen that. There are 5 riders just up the front of the main field. Look at that snake, Phil. I don't think if we're looking here at Mark Cavendish, he's actually in contact with the main field anymore, because it is only a small group in front of this.
Yes, and Rigi is now back there with him here. So too Jens Voigt, but look at the cool face on that. Valverde here is watching his teammate go. He looks across, doesn't react, because this is Pereiro who's gone.
Pereiro has seen the chance here. They've got a lot of riders in the front end of this group, and they're looking for the victory here this afternoon. Chasing them down there. Right on the front, though, is Team CSC. Bernard Cole is still right up there in the pale blue. Also, Cadel Evans, very attentive here this afternoon. Valverde looks imperial to me.
Oh, and what about Cadel Evans? He's watched everybody. He thought he saw a chance to open his gap just a little bit there and prize a little more than 1 second to go in the Alps tomorrow. There's Mark Cavendish in the group just off the back. Well, there was a lot of riders throwing it at. It looks as though they might be coming together here just now. And if you look over the shoulder there, there's still a lot of bike riders in this peloton. And we'll start to slip away from the summit right now. We're going to see a lot of flourishes of action, I'm sure about that. But the riders are sticking together like glue today. We'll have to take a break. We'll come back. We'll pick up the action very quickly.
Here at our remote test facility, we put the Nissan Altima through over 5,000 extreme tests to help ensure long-lasting quality and durability through whatever the world throws at it. The Nissan Altima, made to drive, built to last. Lease a new 2008 Nissan Altima for $199 a month for 36 months.
Extreme power of Energizer E² Lithium, the world's longest-lasting AA battery and high-tech devices. Energizer, keep going.
Pretty good move so far.
Can I use the extra bedroom as a walk-in closet?
I wonder what cheerleaders wear in Florida.
Make your move stress-free with the most trusted name in moving. United Van Lines. Love your move.
I am Carrie Murphy, and this is Highway 18.
Slow play is not an option for golf's greatest adventure. Fasten your seatbelts for a new original series. Get ready.
Yes.
Set. Golf.
Every day is a non-stop race to the finish line. And only one of these teams will find out what's waiting at the end of the road.
What the heck?
Highway 18, all new, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Golf Channel.
A great summer break never lasts as long as you'd like. That's why at Furniture Row, we're now offering a summer break that lasts up to 4 years. During our Super Summer Break Savings Event, we're featuring our once-a-year offer of 4 years no interest with no payments for the first year. That's no interest for 4 years, our guaranteed lowest prices, and no payments for the first year. These are the last days to take advantage of Furniture Row's Super Summer Break Savings. Our 4-year no interest offer ends Tuesday, July 29th.
Buying a car is a big decision. You need some advice.
That is why VHIX.com is so great. Check out the Power Circle ratings for any kind of vehicle.
JDPower.com, Power Circle ratings.
Anything that you want to know about a vehicle.
Mechanical quality. The performance.
Design quality. Powertrain quality.
You're going to get the right car.
All this great information right on VHIX.com.
Use JDPower.com Power Circle ratings to rank vehicles you're interested in at VHIX.com, your online resource to find your ride. Search our online inventory. Thousands of vehicles are added weekly.
Welcome back. There's a lot of blue jerseys down here now. Team Colombia is in the action. Oscar Ferreira made the split as well. One rider has just got off the front, and there he is. He's only around the corner, and this is a great move by Sylvain Chavanel. He got away at 5 kilometers to go. We are now at 4.2. I'm not sure he can hold this lot up, but he's going to give it a go. Well, because of the way the race is under pressure, Paul, this isn't the normal chase to catch now of the long breakaway. This is an opportunist going clear, and he is a time trial champion. The way he's riding, it might well be a great day for France.
4 kilometers to go. That's around about 5.5 minutes of effort, and he's the one rider, I think, in the main field who could pull off a move like this. But behind, it seemed to me as if there were two teams trying to organize the chase. Milram still doing a lot of work for Eric Zabel. Zabel's probably the fastest of the men who survived after that split on the climb, and Team Columbia. Now, I don't know if Gerard Cholik is up there or if they're thinking, of course, about Kim Kirken.
Well, Chavanel is still pulling away from the riders here. He's a rider in his 8th tour. Oscar Freire is still in this group, and the man who's leading in the points, he would be the obvious man to take it out if he got to a sprint now, I think. But they'll have to work hard. The irony is, when David Moncoutier won here, he too, as he is now, a Cofidis rider. So they know what it's like to win in Digne-les-Bains. He is flying through the chicanes here, and he's only 3 kilometers to go. That looks a bit awkward for the breakaway. Oh my goodness me, Cadell Evans just about made that.
Well, they're all lined up now, and it is Team Columbia on the front end of the main field, inside of that banner now, indicating 3 kilometers to go to the finish. I really don't know, Phil, because we can't get down and see exactly who is in the group, who Team Columbia are working for this afternoon. Did Gerard Cholik get himself over that climb? He is a man who's able to survive on climbs like that, but what they've got to do if they want to duke it out for the finish line this afternoon is try and catch this man, Sylvain Chavanel. He will not give up. He keeps looking over his shoulders. Race radio is crackling through to me to say he's got himself 5 seconds, but there is the main field. They've got this man in their sights, and they've got control of the front end of the peloton.
Well, they've taken the advantage of rushing out through that roundabout. They're full of adrenaline now as they charge in. George Hincapie is certainly in here for Team Columbia, and he's a man who can pack a sprint in a bunch like this. Oscar Freire is sitting about 8 men back, poised at 2 kilometers to go now. It's always sad to see, but they are coming so quickly now. It is Team Columbia, Mark Cavendish Team Columbia, who is coming up, but we don't think Mark is here. They are under 1.8 kilometers to go. Team Columbia responsible for wiping out the breakaway. They are massing at the front, I think, now for Gerard Cholik.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of sprinters in this group, Phil. I've seen the man who leads the sprint classification, Oscar Freire. He is right up there. So too on the left-hand side there is Alejandro Valverde, champion of Spain. Little bit of a disorganization coming through now. The Milram jerseys are up there, and they're thinking about their man, Eric Zabel, who is a rapid finisher in a situation like this. A moment of slowing down can create a moment of confusion. Marcus Burkhardt now comes to the front for Team Columbia. There's the banner they've been looking for. 1,000 meters to go. There is Oscar Freire up into 4th place, and it looks to me as if there's a black and white jersey there, and I can't believe that is Julian Dean.
Julian Dean is sat in there, the champion of New Zealand, as he goes under that kilometre kite, and the field now will race down to what is a great sprinter's finish. This is the last obstacle as they go around that roundabout. Team Columbia are setting the pace, but they haven't got Mark Cavendish in their slipstream, and Oscar Freire in green is a huge danger now.
Well, Julian Dean is also pretty much of a huge danger. There is Gerard Cholik. He's right up there. He's looking for which wheel to follow. Pipo Pozzato's up there into about 4th or 5th position. Now they're slowing down. This is dangerous because it can get confusing. There are a few Frenchmen moving up there too.
Well, it's down to Zabel on second wheel here. Is this going to be the day the 38-year-old gets another stage win in the Tour de France when he thought his days were done? He's won 12. That's a German record. He's in a perfect position in second wheel. Freire has chosen to take his wheel. There's a rush from Jimmy Casper on the right of the picture here. This may still be a French victory. I think it's Jimmy Casper. It might be Romain Feyenoord, but I think it's Casper who is clear of the field as he comes up to the line now. A run here, and it's coming from Schumacher right on the line, and it's going to be a battle of the Germans, but Eric Zabel has got himself there again, and Freire is through on the line. The man in green takes it after 2 days of finishing 5th. Oscar Freire gets the victory in Digne-les-Bains. Well, that was an incredible finish. Poor old Mark Cavendish on this occasion wasn't there to contest the sprint.
Well, just check out this man, Oscar Freire. We've been talking about him for a number of days. He's been 3 times champion of the world. He's not wearing the green jersey for no reason at all, Phil. It's because he's the most consistent bike rider in the race so far on these flat stages. There he got what he's been chasing for, and we said before the start that this was an Oscar Freire type day. Well, there's a confirmation of that. The man in the green comes up to take maximum points. Now he's going to look very solid at the top of the leaderboard in this competition.
Yes, I quite agree, and the fact that Frere has won, I think that's the last we'll see of Mark Cavendish now. He will leave the race almost certainly tomorrow morning. Think of his Olympic gains, because Oscar Freire is heading to Paris, a very solid leader of the points competition. He's earned that, he's got great form, and now he's finally won a stage in green, and nobody who wears that green jersey wants to go to Paris without at least one stage win.
Well, that's a real grande campionissimo there by Oscar Freire, because he really had to suffer to stay at the front end, and that was, I have to say, Phil, rather a confusing sprint to the line.
Yes, it most certainly was, and it's Oscar's 5th win of the year as he gets the victory for Rabobank. And did you see the sweat dripping off in there? It's so hot. It'd be Duque who'll have finished 2nd, and Zabel got 3rd, Dean got 4th. That's as I read it over the line. But we'll take a break and we'll sort all of that out. There's Duque on the right and Dean over on the far right. Good sprint by Julian Dean. See you in a moment.
If you think these guys ride fast and efficient, how about something that's turbocharged? It's the Saab Fly to the Finish sweepstakes with a fantastic grand prize, a Cervelo SLC SL bicycle, and a brand new Saab 9.3 Sport Combi. Watch the Tour de France every day on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to versus.com/fly to the finish to enter. Because if you don't try, you can't fly. The Saab Fly to the Finish sweepstakes, brought to you by Saab, Cervelo, and Bicycling Magazine. And watch the tour only on Versus.
Honey, if you want to get rid of your gray hair, try my hair color. It's really easy.
Women's hair color can take 30 minutes. Just for men takes 5 minutes.
No one will notice.
Hers colors every hair. Just for men targets only gray.
It has ammonia, but it doesn't smell that bad.
Oh yes, it does. Just for men has no damaging ammonia.
Let's go buy some. It'll only take half an hour.
Yeah, right. The truth is, men need Just for Men. Stay in the game.
They say I should be afraid, because every swimmer in the water is out to get me. Fear is good.
Power Bar. More fuel for more push.
Tap Out's back, and they're looking for a fight. Rolling cross country, searching for the next MMA badass.
I'm ready to rock!
Tap Out, new season begins July 30th on Versus.
Well, it might surprise a lot of people that ExxonMobil would be interested in lithium-ion battery technology applied to hybrid electric vehicles. Our new battery separator film is a true breakthrough that's going to enable the deployment of more hybrid vehicles faster. This means a tremendous reduction in greenhouse gases, the equivalent of removing millions of cars from the road. I think this is the most important project that I've worked on in my career.
Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us.
Welcome back. This is a group containing Stuart O'Grady, Jens Voigt behind him, Mark Cavendish just peeping into our picture in the centre there. 3.25 minutes now as they hit the town. Mark Cavendish knows when to win and when not to win. Today was one of those days at 23. Sometimes you haven't got the strength of those super guys who finished in that head group today. As we saw Oscar Freire taking out what is for him his 5th win of the season. And he's now got a win in a stage of the Tour de France. Take a look at that. Oscar wearing green. He's easy to pick out. This will be his 4th ever historic win in a stage of the Tour de France. Got mixed up there. I really thought when that move came, it was all curtains for everybody. Then the reaction came and the chase down. Duque is the red rider there. And also up there too was was Eric Zabel, but look at the speed of Oscar as he switches sides there and then opens up full power, and he wins quite convincingly ahead of Leonardo Duque, the Cavendish sprinter, who congratulated him there on a great finish. A look from a different angle. I thought for a moment Eric Zabel was going to wave the flag of victory, but it wasn't quite to be. Oscar was too fast. Good sprint by Julian Dean gave Garmin Chipotle a nice result in 4th place off in the black and white there. There's the congratulations around the back. Let's see if we can show you the full results. Here they are. Oscar Freire getting the win over Duque, Eric Zabel, Julian Dean and Stefan de Jong, who looked to be cracking, got himself back into that. And it was the quick step rider who finished in 5th place. Alessandro Bolan, always a good bet in a sprint, 6th. Ruben Perez, Euskaltel sprinter, was 7th. Jérôme Pinot, a Bouygues Telecom, was 8th. Zato was 9th. Top 10 completed by Thor Hushoft. He lost a few points today to Oscar Freire. Florencio, the Bouygues Telecom sprinter, was 11th. Schumacher, who was so near the front in that sprint, suddenly faded to 12th when they all sat up. Martin Elmiger was 13th. Lang and Filippo Pizzato 15th. Top 20 completed there by Kim Kirken, keeping well up with the leaders. John Lee Augustin, the youngest cyclist in the race, first tour for him. He's in 17th place, and Chris Froome, his teammate, in 18th place. Two guys who are looking for sponsors, well worth employing. Let's go to the finish line. Julian Dean with Robbie Ventura.
Julian, your best result so far in the Tour de France. We know it had to be a little bit harder for you to really come good in the sprint. Can you tell us about that final climb and your race today?
I was just pinned on the final climb, just trying to hold my position in the first 20 because, you know, it was hard and they, you know, a lot of guys wanted to try and get away, I guess, because it was only a descent to the finish. But I just held my own and for as long as I could up the climb and finished over the top with the group, and, you know, it was a big battle all the way to the finish.
Tell us about the descent and in the final 2 kilometers.
Yeah, descent was fast, you know, a lot of guys attacking and a lot of fighting for wheels, that sort of thing. So. But Milram and Columbia really had it under control. And then, you know, the last K wasn't actually particularly fast. You had the feeling that everyone was really a little bit fatigued and no one really wanted to go too early, you know. So there was a bit of a pause in the last kilometre. And I went on the far left, but it was a very, very long sprint, you know, and it was a big drag race. And, you know, I kind of blew up.
Thanks, Julian.
Yeah, but let's face it, Julian, only kind of blew up. You got 4th. Let's go back to the start and have a quick look through the route today. 158 riders starting off. 114 miles was the challenge today. Got to the first sprint, a breakaway. Won by Stein de Volder here. Will Fischgorn was in 2nd, Eisel 3rd. Then from that projected the 4 leaders, and here they are. Gutierrez, Bonnet, Tankink and Cassar. On the climb of the Côte d'Amain, Gutierrez was heading up over the top with Tankink in 2nd place, Sandy Cassar in 3rd, Bonnet in 4th place. The peloton at this point were a couple of minutes behind and not too interested, but keeping a steady watch on the progress of that breakaway. Then the sprint down in Brosson. This was at 49 kilometres from the finish. The pattern of the day, massive crowds, no sprint. Gutierrez first over the line there. 2 minutes 18 seconds later came the peloton, still looking for them. Then towards the Col de l'Orme, and this is where Gutierrez broke it all up. Bonnet was the first one back to the bunch, followed by the other 2. Jose Ivan Gutierrez pushed it out to just on a minute and cheered on as he tried for the finish, but it wasn't to be. An attack by Thomas Voigtler, who comes from the Alsace, by the way, which is not too far up, further east from here, and he was the one that was responsible for the activities that eventually wiped out the lead of Gutierrez. A lot of rides at this point were beginning to think they had a chance of winning, because the field was seeing the sprinters sit up at the back and just settling down to pedal home to the finish. This is the catch coming up, and then we saw a lot of attacks here, but it wasn't to be. This is Oscar Freire here, and then that was the end of Mark Cavendish. We heard on Versus here what the management said: try and keep Mark up front. If you can't make it, leave him, and that's what they did. Then came this late attack by Sebastian Chavanel, and I really thought it was going to work, but he got wiped out. A couple of kilometres to go. Big Demon dash for the line here. Stefan Schumacher in the centre, showing us he can sprint, but didn't quite have the finish. And Zabel took over, and then the man in green, Oscar Freire, took over, and he was the winner today, getting in ahead of Leonardo Duque, and that's his 4th ever stage win of a Tour de France. for Oscar Freire, who's 32 years of age now, and looking forward to hopefully winning that green jersey. Well, Mark Cavendish today, 4 stage wins today. He might well decide today that that was his last stage of the Tour de France and go home now, but we'll see. As we look down the valley here, this is where we finished, and now the only way out of this valley, unless you want a very long drive down towards Nice if you're going over to the east, then you've got to climb over there in the roads. It's going to be a tough day tomorrow, and it starts from Embrun. Anyway, I think Frankie Andreou's found Mark Cavendish. Let's see what he's got to say.
Mark, a hot day out there where the other teams were chasing really fast. At the end of Little Cat 4, you didn't seem to give up. Tell me, how hard was it at the end trying to fight over that climb to get back with the group?
It was really hard, you know, but we knew all along it wasn't going to be my day, you know, so we went for Gerald today, and I just thought, yeah, if I try and hang on, then I try and hang on, you know. And
you seem a little just sad, you know. I mean, you've won 4 stages. I mean, you've had a great, successful tour. Maybe, you know, everybody's expecting a lot out of you almost on every day.
It's getting tiring, though, now, you know. I'm a little bit tired, so we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit down there, Mark. They'll take the decision to pull him, I'm sure of that. There's the result today. We'll come back for the podiums and the standings, and we'll see you all in just a moment.
Prohibition was a very tough time, not only for my family, but for everyone who enjoyed beer. So when it came to an end in 1933, my grandfather gave to his father a Budweiser Clydesdale 8-horse hitch and wagon. That 8-horse hitch and wagon eventually took the very first case of post-Prohibition Budweiser up Pennsylvania Avenue to President Roosevelt. Today, our symbol of pride and quality rolls on.
Oh, that's the torque. I like torque. Handy, it's great gas mileage. Woo! Okay. How fast can this... Hey, Phil.
When is this event gonna be over?
Soon. Thanks, Phil.
Oh boy, this event is going to be trouble.
The Autobahn for All Summer event. Get 3 VWs for under $199 a month or 0% APR on all 08 models.
Domestique literally means servant. Christian Van de Velde was a domestique. He served Lance Armstrong for 5 years. Now, he's serving notice.
He seems like a pretty cool guy.
I like the way he hugs his wife.
I hear he plays bass, so that's cool.
I don't know, he just seems like my kind of guy.
Well, he's a cat person, so...
Tune to Elections 08 On Demand for all the information you need on interests, issues, facts, and candidates. Elections 08 On Demand. Vote smart.
Press 890 on your digital remote or from your Channel 1 on-demand menu. Select News and World, then Elections 08.
Got a car to sell?
Go to vehix.com.
Millions of people go to vehix.com looking for a car.
I would never do a newspaper classified again.
The best part is it's free.
Absolutely free. All you do is you upload a picture.
You put in a few facts about your car.
Then someone searches for a used car like yours.
Bingo, there's your car.
Pops up in their search results.
And it's free.
How can you beat that? This is the best way to sell a car.
List your used car for free and reach millions of car buyers at vehix.com, your online resource to find your ride. Watch our buying guides and test drives powered by Wheels TV on Comcast On Demand.
Television first. From the creator of Survivor, The Contender Muay Thai. Premieres Thursday, July 31st on Versus.
Welcome back to the Tour de France. We're still waiting for them to come out on the podium. Oscar Freire will be first to receive the accolades of the day at the end of this 121-mile stage. But let's have a look at that final kilometre again. It was only for the strong men, this sprint today, because only those who hung on from the top of the hill were involved, and you had to hold your positions all the way down a very fast descent off that col as the riders then came speeding into Digne-les-Bains. And for a while it looked as though Columbia had control, but they were never organised here. Team Columbia today. See the rider looking around, where's everybody gone? No point in racing now. As he swings off, Team Milram are thinking, of course, of Eric Zabel. Zabel looked perfect in this position. There he is in second place. And there, at that point, Freire had third wheel. But life got a little bit busy down behind Zabel as riders started to close up. And Freire looked to me on the left there as though he's getting himself boxed in. The red boy is Leonardo Duque, a very, very good sprinter for Cofidis from Colombia. And then this, we think, is Romain Feliu, who made the dash for the line. Very fast kick indeed, a la Mark Cavendish, but except he can't keep it going. Stefan Schumacher's opened up the sprint. He got washed away in the end, but look at the face of Zabel as Zabel comes over the top. Duquet's boxed in now as Frere pops out of the bunch and snatches the first place. Let's go to the podium, right on cue. Well done, Oscar. As he salutes the crowd here now, his first stage win of this year's Tour de France. And of course the great thing is he's got huge points in the green jersey competition today as well. He won't be winning any tomorrow, but he's building his lead that might be good for Paris. The flashes on the cuffs of his jersey there, 3 times a world champion, hoping to get 4 this year. And he's shown form all tour, but you know, even when you're as great as Oscar Freire is, you always need that little bit of luck. We're now in the Haute-Provence region of the Alps. There's the stage result. Duque, Zabel, Dean. I thought it was a great sprint by Julian today, and Stephen de Jong was over in 5th place. Let's see if we can show you any more. Balan, Ruben Perez, Jérôme Pinot, Boyd Telecom, Matteo Tessato, usually the lead-out man. He gets home in 9th. Tor Hushoff won't be happy with 10th today. He should have got better than that. He won't get many more sprints for a while. And back to the podium, and here he is. Cadel Evans pulls on the jersey again. It's still only a 1-second margin now to go into the Alps. He can't even blink, as Frank Schleck might well launch an attack, because you bet your life that Team CSC Saxo Bank, the line's coming out by itself now, Team CSC Saxo Bank are going to plan a 3-pronged attack at least in the mountains here. But Cadel's enjoying these great moments. Cadel Evans enjoying the great moments, Paul, but he knows now he'll face a lot of attacks from tomorrow, and it's going to be rough days ahead for him. He might be up to it, we won't know yet. So let's have a look at our Michelob Ultra overall standings then. A second advantage, no change yet again. Another day we have had no change in the leaders. Christian van der Velde also in the hot seat for tomorrow, sits in 3rd. Bernard Cole, and I think Evans is worried about him. For Gerolsteiner is 4th. Menchoff, Evans is certainly worried about him, and less than a minute covering those top 5 riders. Carlos Sastre still very much in this race. So too Team Columbia's Kim Kirken has been very quiet since he lost the lead on the climb up Otakam. Vladimir Efekim is a stage winner now with the disqualification of Rico. He's there in 8th. Mikel Atalotha is in 9th. Top 10 completed by our boy in the white jersey, Vincenzo Nibali. We've got Sam Sanchez there in 11th. Expect him to go well in the mountains. Valverde has to go well, 4:41 back. So does Damiano Cunego. We're going home for Damiano tomorrow. He'd be my bet for a stage win. He sits off at 5:37 there. Alexander Bocharov, he might improve, but not a lot. Schumacher, he could well climb up a little bit. He's been in yellow, remember. And so too Maxime Montfort. We're getting back to the Belgians' territory now, the mountains. Kreuziger also, I think, will go well in the mountains. He's looking for 7 minutes, 11 seconds. Oscar Freire, don't expect to mention him too often tomorrow on the Route de Tours. We go into the Alps, but right now he's going to feel very comfortable in this green jersey. Increased his lead in it tonight. He's nudging it out of reach of a lot of the big sprinters of the Tour de France. There's Daniel Montmonjas asking for the crowd to applaud a former 3-times world champion. Now let's have a look at those standings too. Look at that now, 219. So he's getting nicely away from Tor Hushoff. Didn't score well today. Also Eric Zabel, who's in 3rd. Mark Cavendish slips to 4th from 2nd. He doesn't score any points today. Kim Kirken is still in this competition and might well score in the mountains and of course the time trial. Leonardo Duque, the sprinter, is in 6th. Hunter, who's 2nd in this competition last year, is 7th. McEwen, who's won it 3 times, is in 8th. And Valverde in 9th, while Romain Feliu is in 10th for Agritubel, and that's 94 points for Romain. Back out on course, Sebastian Lang now, the king of the mountains. And he says he quite fancies this jersey now, and he's going to have a go to keep it, in his words, for a few days. So he's not saying he's going to win it, but he's going to try and keep it. Well, this is one day he's kept it. And so the polka dot on the shoulders of the Gerolsteiner Sebastian Lang. He got it again with the disqualification of, well, not the disqualification, but the retirement of the Sonia Duval team, because it was on the shoulders of their riders. And there we look at the overall there. So it's only a 1-point lead ahead of his teammate Bernard Cole, as it was at the start of the day. 46 points for Frank Schleck. He could well take this lead tomorrow with a good day out. Sanchez is in 4th place. He's had a stage win. And Cadell Evans even is in this competition, but he's still 30 points behind Lang. He's equal there with Vincenzo Nibali. Chavanel was a leader, never scored a point since he lost the lead, by the way, still on 27 alongside Voigtler, who also hasn't scored since he was a leader as well. They got the jersey on count back at one stage. Denny Menchoff in 9th, Vladimir Efimkin is in 10th for AG2R. This is the scene around the back of the podiums here, where they sign as we go back out front. Vincenzo Nibali, he takes now the white jersey of best young rider in his first Tour de France. It was on the shoulders of the disgraced Ricardo Rico. Nibali took it, didn't want to wear it at first, but he's certainly the rightful owner of it now, that's for sure. He's in 10th place in the Tour de France as well, and so he's going to look to improve that. He climbs extremely well, and like Damiano Cunego, he goes onto home soil tomorrow. Watch out for the Italians. The situation there is he's the best placed, in first place with 59 hours at 2:41. Maxime Montfort, I think he'll go well tomorrow, as will Kreuziger. Andy Schleck, he's got to recover a little bit, and Gonzalo there in 5th. Let's have a look where we do go tomorrow. Not for the nervousest. There we are, right down to the southeast now as we head to Prato Novoso. It starts off from Embrun, and it starts to climb pretty much in 25 kilometers into the course as we go over eventually the Col Agnel. A new col and a difficult one. Once we're over that, a bit of a plateau for a while before we climb all the way up to Prato Novoso. There's the plateau I was saying, and there at the end is the big shunt up to the finish. It's going to be a long, hard day tomorrow for the bike riders. Be with us because we have a special day of coverage for you. We'll be live from 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the 15th day of the Tour de France. Could be the most decisive thus far. And if you do miss out, and I hope you don't, come and join Bob and Craig for enhanced prime-time coverage. It all begins tomorrow and every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 9 p.m. Pacific Time. But we're now in the Alps from now on, and we're there for 4 days, including the rest day. It's going to be a rough old time for the bike riders. That 1 second we've talked about for a week, it'll be bigger than that tomorrow. Will this man ever win a stage? If trying is worth anything, then perhaps Chavanel will. Don't forget all the information about our schedules, all the extra interviews, blogs, and everything you want to know about the Tour de France. Things we can't show you in our daily coverage. Go to versid.com and enjoy it. Don't miss tomorrow. Wake up on the West Coast. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Until then, goodbye from France.